Constellation, Last Stand Media's conversational podcast, is brought to you by you. If you want to learn how to support our podcast network, head to patreon.com/laststandmedia.
Hello there, everybody. Welcome back. We're happy to have you aboard for yet another episode of Last Stand Media's conversational podcast, a little show that we like to call Constellation. We've got a wholesome group for you today, and we've also got Micah and Colin. A little something for everybody. Just one quick footnote. I just want to thank my team here. We're doing something a little different today. And everybody agreed. Everybody was aboard. We're starting an hour early. We were supposed to start at noon. We've been kind of running our mouths for the last 15 minutes, ramping up for the show. But thank you to you three for starting early.
Sure.
It's barely noon, right? We're just coming out of the morning. This is
Very
an hour
tired.
early,
I'm very tired.
That was what I was going to ask you guys. Does it feel a lot? Does this 45-minute difference feel a lot different?
Yes, to me it does, just because I usually don't do anything before 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm up before 1 typically, but I marinate a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Roam.
Less marinating.
Assess. Do those kinds of things. So yeah, I woke up, but I was mindful of it last night. I just went, I didn't take my little nap where I biphasically sleep and then wake up at midnight and then go back to bed at 5 or 6. Which is good. That's fine.
Yeah, that's good.
But I didn't do that last night because I'm I'll be all fucked up. So I actually tried to just stay awake. I played Borderlands 2 all night, and then at 2 or what did we go to bed at 2 or 3, which is pretty early.
That's early. All right. So you kind of change things a little bit.
I never feel older than when I hear about Colin's sleeping patterns. I have an alarm on my phone that goes off at 9:30 p.m. and says, "You better get to bed, Hoeg."
Yeah.
And then Hoeg, how much do you need?
Bitch.
How much do you get? How many hours?
Do I get? It depends. Honestly, I have an alarm set to wake me up at 6:40 a.m., but very rarely do I actually sleep to that alarm.
Oh, so you're up earlier than that.
Yeah.
Normally. But you got to get your 8 hours, whatever that is, 9-ish.
Got to try.
Yeah.
Doctor's orders really to try to sleep a normal night's sleep. But yeah, I go to bed at 9:30. I don't get to sleep for a little while from then, but I close everything down and start the process at 9:30 and then wake up whenever my body tells me to wake up.
Okay. Yeah. Feels different for me. A little less steeping, a little less note taking, but you know what? I like a little bit more organic anyway. I'll think about what to say a little more on the fly today, and that's fine. Also, Micah, we haven't heard from you yet. Let's get things started by saying hello to you, and then we'll go back around. Micah, let's talk about food Moriarty. Micah, let me ask you one thing. Actually, no, I'm going to let you say hello first, then I'm going to ask you a question. What's going on?
Well, hello, everyone. I feel quite all right today. The past couple of weeks, I've been taking treble to acupuncture appointments, and this is the first week we didn't have to do that. So I'd been, Fridays, I'd been getting up earlier. So for me right now, this feels like a normal Friday because I usually had to wake up, drive her 30 minutes to the neurologist to get her acupuncture. We resume that next week, so I'm feeling all right today. Feeling good.
Let me ask you a question. Helene just went for acupuncture earlier in the week for the first time, but I imagine, and she liked it, and it's effective. She has a problem with one of her hands. They don't know if it's the onset of some type of arthritis or something, but her sister's been going. This guy was supposedly an ace, like a magician. So Helene's let me try it. But for a dog, I would imagine, Helene said it's really off-putting. It's not painful, but seeing all those pins in you and stuff like that. For a dog, I'm imagining they have to be put out for that.
No.
Tell me how it works.
It's gentle enough that she doesn't really seem to mind. I watched them do it once, and then since then, though, I let them take her back to the clinic for it. But it's gentle enough that she doesn't really react. They just kind of do each little pin. She gets a couple in each leg, down her back, just all over. And she kind of, for a couple of them, she'll kind of look around and they'll be like, I know. but then they just have her sit there with them for 15, 20 minutes and she's fine. So
wow, that's pretty
it doesn't
cool.
seem to bother her. They are, though, like hair thin little needles. So she doesn't seem to mind. We've been going for a couple weeks. Now we're extending to 2 weeks. And then if she looks good, we'll extend it like to monthly maybe for a little bit. But she really doesn't seem to mind it, which is good because I don't know what our alternative would be otherwise. Like, because like putting them to sleep for that would be like wicked expensive.
Oh,
So,
wow. Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, I mean, the treatments are already expensive. So it's one of those things of like, yeah, if she wasn't tolerating it, I don't know what we'd do.
Yeah, it cuts a vision of like, I have to remember this. Like you're saying, the very super fine needles. Like I'm thinking like sewing needles. I'm thinking like the bed of nails that you see those crazy guys. It's not like that. These are like specifically for acupuncture.
No, yeah, they're teeny. And they just kind of put them all over her.
Yeah.
And she just stands there and they just hold her like kind of in place for like 15 minutes. And she just kind of looks around the room and doesn't seem too bothered.
That's cool. Yeah, acupuncture is supposed to work wonders. It's one of those like ancient, solutions that just, it's stuck around, right? Through all the medical evolution, technology and all this. People are still doing it and paying a lot of money to get it done. So there must be something to it.
Yeah,
right?
it's one of those, it's worth trying because it's very non-invasive. So
yeah.
Like for humans and pets alike, it's just one of those things of like, it's very non-invasive. So it's worth giving it a try, prior to anything a little more extreme. But I mean, like the vet explained it, she had just said like, it's essentially increasing the blood flow to, because it's her spine that's the issue. So they focus more of the needles there, but she's like, it's about increasing the blood flow to that area. And the thing is that treble has been much better. So I guess it's working. I can't ask her, but I guess it's working.
You can ask her. We just worry if she answers.
Right.
Yeah.
She might.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
I'm glad she's good. I'm glad you're doing good. It's good to have you on the show, Micah.
I'm glad to be here.
Hoeg, I'll move over to you. What's going on? What's going on in the middle part of the country, my friend?
I can't speak for the entire middle part of the country. I will say that in Hoeg House, it is the end of the school year, which is always a stressful time. It's always people running around. We've had events every night this week. And then, of course, I woke up yesterday to find that Walmart had canceled my Switch pre-order, to which my wife was a fantastic partner and compatriot and said, all right, let's go out and find one. And we did yesterday morning.
Yay.
And
Where did you find it?
That was a fun little family adventure.
Yeah,
we found
cool.
it at a local Target.
Oh.
So that was great. A little stressful, especially during the week where we've got the sports awards banquet and all the other things that are happening at the school. But outside of that, I have no complaints. It's been a great time here in Michigan. It's finally warming up. It was a little bit chilly for most of May, but now here in June, it's finally warming up, and that's always a nice feeling. Up in the great cold north.
Yeah, we were just talking about that, me and Micah, before we started the show. I was saying it's the first week, because it's been so rainy and cool here too, up in Philly. It's the first week where the neighbors come out of the house already like exasperated with the humidity. It's been like 3 days of humidity and everybody's like over it already. Like that's how you enter into the conversations in the morning. It's thick out here. I can't take it. It's like, Jesus, like
if you put a camera like in near our front door when I like go to walk the dogs every day, like when the first time I really walk outside, you probably hear like a rotisserie of like, Jesus fucking Christ, like, oh my God, it's so hot.
It's when you get the weather that's right in your face, right? Because the same thing happens in the winter here. You open the door and you feel like you've been slapped by cold.
Yes. It's the HVAC guy, Colin. One time, so we have our HVAC system checked twice a year just for preventative maintenance. And the first time we had it checked was summer, and the guy like pulled down, the attic stairs, and he was like, "Damn." But we were like, "But how many houses have you checked today? Like, did you do this at every single house?"
Yeah, no one's air conditioning their fucking attics.
Because it was like noon.
They're unfinished attic.
I know they start their schedules at like 8:30 and it was noon. So I'm like, we're not the first house you went to. Have you been reacting this way to the heat of everyone's attic up to this
I don't
point?
like it. I don't like it. I feel like I want a better bedside manner from an AC guy. It's like a doctor reacting to, you know what I mean? Like just act, even if you're flustered, like act cool.
It would be off-putting for your doctor to be like, oh man.
Well, that's actually on one of my, like a flight I went on, I was by myself and we hit some turbulence and the flight attendant was like, that was a bad one. But I was like, shut up. Like, shut up. You're not supposed to acknowledge it. You're supposed to keep me calm. I'm like, if the flight attendant who flies like 1 million flights a year and she's like, that was a bad one. And I'm like, fuck. Like, shut up.
It's a great way to F with people. If you're a flight attendant, I salute it. But yeah, I'm looking at the flight attendant for comfort. Everybody
exactly.
You gotta have that bedside manner, man. You gotta be the consummate professional on that plane. Oh, that's so important. Oh, I would have been really upset if I saw it. All right, my friends, and Kyle, back to you for hellos. Good to have you aboard today. We're doing something a little different today. I'm excited. Switch it up.
Yeah, I stole your topic. I only really I would often struggle to come up with topics for the show because there are many things that I want to talk about. Like, I would be very easy. If it was literally like the things I want to talk about, it would be the easiest show in the world to do. But I don't think that a lot of the things I want to talk about are things people want to hear about or that you guys would want to talk about.
I think you should I think you should do it more often, honestly.
And I'm not even talking about politics because people have been asking about like, where are the political conversations? And I'll just be totally honest with you. I just simply don't think the audience writ large is mature enough to receive political conversations at this point.
I'm not mature enough either.
I was going to say, I'm not sure about the world, honestly.
Right. That's what I was saying, like writ large, like the audience, like everyone. I just don't think that I don't really care if it alienates people per se, because that's your choice and your problem. I don't let people's politics alienate me from them and their product unless they're like, a fucking communist or something. But yeah, people have been asking that recently. And I've been like, well, I just don't think it's possible. Like, I actually just don't think it's possible. I would love to do it, but it's not possible. So I'm not even talking about those topics though, because I think that's where people's minds would go. It's just like random things like science things or space things or things that I don't think people would really give a shit about. But this week is one of those things because it's making the rounds in mainstream circles. And I've listened to a shit ton of, mainstream things about it. And I was really curious what you think about it. But I wanted to use my moment, if I might, for two reasons. First of all, Dagan, and I didn't even say this to Micah when at the moment it happened. She won't even probably remember it. There's no reason for her to remember it. But she was talking last week. And I said to her, quote, right. But I wasn't doing a Mary Hassel impression.
You were channeling Mary.
So Mary Hassel was our grandmother's across the street neighbor on Long Island. She was the same age the entire time I knew her.
One of those.
Yeah. And when you would talk, she was a really sweet woman.
Oh, so nice.
Really, really nice woman. But when you would talk, she would go, and we brought her up for sure in the past. She'd be like, right.
Sure.
Yeah. Sure. That kind of thing. And I found myself doing it. Like, but not, because usually when someone does it, someone will just come out of left field with like a show, like Uncle Michael will just be like, right. But I wanted to just throw that out there that I actually did earnestly do a Mary Hassel without realizing it. And I needed to tell someone.
That's the ultimate homage. You paid the ultimate homage.
Right. Like
it's part of you now.
Right. So, but I wanted to also use my time to, and I did it on Sacred as well. And I did it on Sacred Plus. So just to kind of continue to promote it, we'll do a proper post for it. But the Hebroxia special edition is just about ready to go. And we're going to start selling it soon. Now, I've been opening and closing this version of this over and over again on different shows. So, instead of taking a bunch of them and then annoying the shit out of Micah, I was just like, let me just take one of them. So, Day, you did this art. It's beautiful.
Oh,
obviously, it's awesome. I was explaining to Jaffe that one of the things I loved that you said about this was that there is no arcade shooter in this series of games, like in the launch series.
For the black box originals.
So it's cool that we kind of got to do a little something special for it. And then, you got the back.
I love it.
It looks just like an NES box. The dimensions are off. I was explaining to Jaffe that in my mind's eye, Dustin and I were both positive about this. So we didn't even research it until late, which was so stupid. And we realized we had to change the dimensions of like what we were trying to do. I'm like, the NES box, in my mind's eye, I'm like, the NES box is the same size as like a DVD case.
Yes.
right? And we're like, yeah, that sounds about right. You could just see it in your mind's eye. We used to handle them and have them. And I'm like, no, not at all. Like
I think it's littler.
to keep the Blu-ray, secure and snug, we had to make it thinner, just a little thinner and a little smaller, but you won't really notice. But what's inside is what's important, because obviously you get the game. He's been sitting in my kitchen since last summer. And, but Dig, you really, I don't think if you didn't play NES and like didn't have access to these manuals, you have no idea how accurate this is.
Oh, it was so fun to do.
It's perfect.
Man. It was so, I appreciate that.
Now, was it my idea? Yes. But Dagan executed on it. And he 100%. Did a really, really wonderful job. And dimensionally, but yeah, I actually have a real instruction manual here right now, Zelda. So just perfect.
Oh, that's so nice. It's so cool. Well, that's what I wanted to say. Like it was so fun, but the printing, the way I was so concerned that it wouldn't get justified in the final format, because going from the computer screen and the backlighting and all the things to the printed format is tricky. I've been dealing with that as a professional for years. Not so much working in animation, but I've definitely dabbled in that from time to time. And you never know what the final product is going to translate to once you have the physical thing in your hand. And they did a great job with that. And it was fun, just like choosing it, like going the black box direction. Colin and I talked about doing like channeling like old classic Konami, if you know retro games with the silver and the Konami logo and very painterly traditional illustrations. But it was so cool to do black box. And then for the manual, I definitely channeled classic NES, first party, and then Capcom and Hudson Soft. Retro games had very specific flavors of design in their boxes and their literature and all that kind of thing. And
how nostalgic. Yeah, we did the this is really pizza. This is from Konami, right? That would do this.
That was from the Ninja Turtles game.
Yeah, right.
So Ultra, right? Yeah,
No, it's so well done, Dave. I mean, you did
much fun doing it.
You did an exceptional job. So I and then you get some of these postcards in there as well. Some art. You get a little certificate, hand numbered, by Holly Furman.
That's right.
And then stickers in Dagan's art.
Everybody had their hands in. Everybody in LSM had their hands in a little bit, which is kind of cool.
We had Dagan make things in his own style.
The collab.
So you see Sabrina and
even the Lily Mo
spaceship
logo.
Habroxia. And and we'll have more Habroxia later in the year, I think. Maybe a prequel?
Oh. Is that the first time you've hinted at this?
Yeah, I think we've said a few things in it. Like we have literally like a dozen games in development. So, and I mean literally. Like Barry just roves around from build to build to build and just does whatever he wants. I don't mean that in a bad way. It's great. Like whatever you're feeling. And then when it's time to give it a story and do all that. So yeah, we want to do Habroxia is by far our biggest series, and we want to do more of it. I love all of our games personally. Habroxia 2 is fucking sick. Like. It really, like, I'm so honored to have worked on a game like that. It's so fucking good. So Habroxia 1 was a nice first step. I wasn't around when Habroxia 1 was made, but I did retcon the story into it for the new builds. So anyway, Dig, I just wanted to congratulate you on that and let everyone know these will go on sale. They're $40, very appropriately priced.
I think that's a great price. I really do.
And they'll go live on Friday the 13th. So something will probably go horribly wrong.
I've got an odd question.
Sure.
On that. Do you have a version that has the box and the instruction manual that doesn't have the game? Because I tend to set up
that's what you prefer?
Digitally.
Yeah, that's what you prefer.
Oh.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's Hoeg's, of course, being facetious. That's the thing in the industry. You do like that.
Yes, no, I'm not being facetious.
Oh, because people make fun of that all the time and hate that.
That's totally I've never heard fair. I understand how people say this is not a collector's edition of the game.
Right.
What it's titled, I don't care about, but I would prefer to not buy it twice.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Well, we definitely will have more, I think, of the package than the game, so we could send you everything else. Yeah.
Oh, that is interesting.
But yeah, the games. Shout out to East Asia Soft for publishing the physical versions. People have been wondering like how it all works, especially with tariffs. If anyone's blaming Chinese tariffs on on game manufacturing and the price going up, just understand that our games are published the discs are published in Austria, and the games are packaged and shipped in India. I'm sorry, in India, not India, in Indiana.
Oh.
So you don't have to like manufacture your stuff in China. You don't have to manufacture your stuff in Mexico. You don't have to manufacture your stuff in all these places. People are choosing to do that. And then they're going to pass that cost on to you. But we have a nice little operation going on here with East Asia Soft, and we're really thankful for them. I don't know how it really works on their behalf.
I'm sorry. I did know yesterday that my Switch had a note that said it was manufactured in Vietnam.
Oh,
good. It's a little better, you know. It is a little. We just were like in this like blood conflict with Vietnam like 50 years ago. It's so strange. It's so strange when you think about it. I mean, the same thing happened with Japan, and it was way worse actually.
Think about that a lot.
Yeah.
Think about that a lot.
I remember being so excited with my NES, my Nintendo, in the late 80s, and my grandfather, who had fought in World War II, being like, what's the deal here, Rick? And
you did hear that.
Not really understanding where the animosity was coming from.
Mm-hmm. We got that a lot with cars growing up as Honda and Toyota continued to, gain entry into the American markets in the 70s, especially, when I was little. You didn't hear it a lot, but you definitely heard it from the older set of like, I'm not buying that, And I think you definitely heard that with the German car manufacturers, getting their rise in in North America too, where it was like, yeah, I mean, they're pretty, but I'm not buying it. And I think some people still toe that line, right? Say, you know what I have here? I'm going to send this to Colin. I think I definitely showed you this at some point when you and I were talking, but I have the dummy of when I made this. It's just a really quick stapled together dummy of exactly how I wanted to, do the thank you and then the warning and the enemies and the intro, the table of contents, the whole thing. So I kind of mapped it out the old fashioned way. I'm a purist. The Dagster is a traditionalist. I have to do this. So I'm going to send this to Kyle. It's literally just loose leaf paper cut up. And that was the beginning of the process. And we worked on this primarily over the holidays, 24 going into 25. So it was busy, but it was fun.
I absolutely love that. I do have a legal question. I can't read it when Colin showed the personal pan pizza certificate. Is there some legal language that says this is not actually for a pizza?
Yes.
Okay.
There's some stuff in there that says like, I really tried to copy the Konami one, but we changed the Pizza Hut logo, the name, and then we basically said, I forgot how exactly I worded it, but it was basically like this stopped being a thing in 89 or whenever it was.
Okay. Yeah. I couldn't read it. Right. And it looked perfect from just what Colin showed. So I was like, I hope they didn't actually promise a pan pizza.
That might have been the piece of art. It wasn't the piece of art I spent the most amount of time on, but to make it completely like a complete send up to the original, it is like pixel perfect representation of that coupon. Because I have it in the original instruction book. So yeah, I went to great lengths to make that as authentic as possible.
I wonder how many of them. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Speaking of random foodstuffs, did you guys see the stories about Walmart delivering Switches yesterday and them coming with Pringles and Coke?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. What was that all about? That was just like them trying to do a nice thing, I guess. Or
yeah, there was an article that had one of their PR people that said just essentially, we know gamers like snacks, and so we wanted to have some goodwill out there. And of course, Walmart canceled mine the morning of and had canceled other people's the week before, so they were also battling some PR fights as well.
That's hilarious.
It's cool that they did that, but they should have made it more obvious. Like I think people understood what they were doing, but they should have had like a little insert or something, or like a little thing to
drop a certificate.
It's a little nice idea for them.
Let me ask you a question though, and maybe I don't know about this though, because is it Walmart's right to do that? Because now you're pairing companies like Frito-Lay or whatever with Nintendo against Nintendo's knowledge. Is it out of Nintendo's jurisdiction once it's in Walmart?
No, if Nintendo had an issue with it, if you imagine for instance, that Walmart had packaged it with something less savory, something that had a bad reputation, Nintendo doesn't like it when Mario appears in illicit content online, videos of that type. I think we understand what we're talking about. If they didn't like that brand combination, then yes, you could argue that it's essentially diluting the trademark. that we didn't want to be associated with this company, and now somebody else has stepped in and done something bad, there could be a potential legal claim there.
Yeah.
I think that's entirely unlikely for Coke and Pringles, and that might be part of what Walmart was doing selecting it. They might have existing marketing arrangements in other places in the world that I don't know about, where somebody at Walmart's a big giant corporation itself, looks and says, who is Nintendo already okay with being associated with?
Oh, that's interesting.
But you're not wrong. These companies are very protective of their brands.
Absolutely.
And anything that looks remotely official can get back to legal and back to public relations at those headquarters and say, no, we don't want to be associated with that thing.
I will say it's a cute idea. And you don't see things like that. You know what I mean? A company like that size doing that sort of thing, operating at a loss to do something kind of cool and memorable. You don't see that a lot.
Yeah, it's surprises don't usually pay the bills.
I love it. I got to say, I'm not a big Walmart guy. Place actually horrifies me. As I understand, did I hear either self-checkout is going away as we know it there? Or was it the opposite? They're getting rid of now when you go in, it's usually, a football field line of cashiers with one actually manned by a person. Always.
Degenerates are ruining the self-checkout stuff. If you like the self-checkout stuff, you should really be upset about all the dishonest people in society that are fucking it up for everyone. Because people are just rampantly stealing. And I think that's the reason why, people just can't help themselves. Because again, they're degenerate. So it's like, oh, this is so convenient. This is too convenient. Let's fuck it up for everyone. That's wonderful.
To be fair, I don't like self-checkout. It is only a necessity to use, though, because our Walmart will literally have one cashier
always
for the entire place.
Yeah.
So you can wait 20 minutes in line, or you can use self-checkout. I don't want to use self-checkout. I would much rather they put a person at each stand.
Yep.
And I actually get checked out by them, and they're paying someone to do it. So, I mean, it's the company's fault. They wanted to cheap out and have me, scan and bag my own groceries. And then they're like, oh my God, people are stealing. Like, no shit, they're stealing. So how about you put the cashiers back? Your little social experiment didn't work. Put the cashiers back.
Right. I guess the original thinking was we could save a lot of money not paying these people. Right. But now the loss prevention is justifying putting them back. But it definitely was. I mean, that was very intentional. I'm old, so I remember that starting with Kmart. Like, you were funneled to the self-checkout because it was, again, 50 cashiers and one of them was being manned by somebody. So it was like you had to. Or you, like Micah said, you had to wait on that line. It was completely intentional. And then Walmart picked up that philosophy and Walmart became what it became, and now it's huge. And, I think the box stores do it as well. The BJ's and the Costco's do it as well.
I always do self-checkout at BJ's because they also will have one cashier and the line will be wrapped around. Yeah. The thing with BJ's, though, is because all the items are large, it's pretty speedy to check out. Like, it's not like at Publix where I got to type in Brussels sprouts. I got to type in all the produce. Right. Like at BJ's, everything has a barcode and everything is just like really quick to scan. Like, it looks like you have a full cart, but it's 10 items. So I don't mind it there, but it would be nice to just actually go to a cashier should they have one.
I think the only time I really resent this is when you have to stand in line for the guy that's checking your receipt.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've had this at your stores.
Oh, yeah, we've talked about this.
Sometimes that gets backed up, and it's like, no. You can't ask me to do both. You can't ask me to bag my own groceries, what have you, and then essentially implicitly accuse me of stealing from you when we're trying to leave, and then put me in another line anyway.
Yeah, this came up a few weeks ago, Hoeg, because people got mad at me that I was incredulous. That that Micah and I were talking about. Micah was saying that I was like I was dealing with like a guy checking the receipts at Walmart or whatever, and I was like I said hello to him and like made eye contact. You just didn't look at me at all and like didn't say anything to me. And then Micah's like, yeah, he's like, mentally disabled or whatever. And then I was incredulous. I was like, this is. The person checking the numbers and like doing and being the last line of defense is I was like, no, I don't think so. I think he was just a rude person, and then everyone was like, you don't think mentally handicapped people should have jobs?
No, people said I work at Walmart And yes, they do indeed put the people who maybe should be baggers at the back door.
Why don't they put them on? Why don't they just have them do the books?
I've seen it.
Because we all know that legally they can't actually stop you anyways. Like, you have the receipt, you got your stuff. That guy has no power. It's the ADT sign in your window.
Right.
It's all for show.
Right.
That guy can't actually do anything to you. We're not getting into this again, Colin. You were rude to the disabled man at Walmart, and you just got to let it go.
I didn't mean to bring this up.
Well, no,
I didn't think it was going to get that serious either.
I was kind of gently schooling Colin only because I had been watching Love on the Spectrum and had a very complete contemporary understanding of like their mannerisms and the way they convey emotion and stuff like that. That it's not like you and I all the time. You know what I mean? Something that could be construed as rude is just them acting the way they are, right? They're not being rude or aloof. Right. So I had only known that because I was deep diving and binging Love on the Spectrum and getting such an overarching understanding of those people. Delightful. I mean, seriously, season 4 I can't believe it's not coming for another 2 years. That's absolutely out of control. It is the best thing I've watched since Sopranos. 100%.
Wow. Very
100%.
high praise.
Very high praise. Number 2 all time.
I didn't know you were such a big fan of The Last of Us starring Bella Ramsey.
Oh, no. Where are we going? Should we try to maintain some order here? I want to circle back and just say thank you again to these 3 because they agreed to go early. But also, I should note that I have to leave at 4 o'clock, which is about 3 hours.
Yeah, we'll be fine, I think.
Right? Because it's my daughter's prom and we're going to take pics. So in the event that this conversation with these 3 lovely people goes longer than that and I leave, that's why. There's your explanation. And I know this is the nice thing about this show. I know the exact order we're going to do. We're going to start. We got to end with Collins because Collins is the meatiest. Oh, definitely the meatiest. I think we're going to put Micah in the middle, a little bit of Micah whimsy right in the middle to break up the tone. So we're going to start with my man, Hoeg. If he's okay with that, why don't you launch right into it, my dude?
Yeah. So in honor of today being my daughter's first day of finals, talked about it being the end of the school year, I want to hear your test stories. Anything you felt unprepared for, but actually nailed, or anything you thought, hey, I aced that, and then you got the score back, didn't turn out so well. Good tests, bad tests, anything in between. Any advice you'd give my daughter, who is regularly very hard on herself as to whether or not she has studied enough for these tests, even though she's done really well so far? And did you have any preparation tricks or other game day rituals that you did for your tests? And if you're not comfortable or can't remember your testing years, I'm totally okay with this being a question about job interviews or anything else where you felt tested as part of the process.
Where do you want to go?
Let's start with you, Dagan.
This is an interesting one. This is a really relevant one because I have one going into high school shortly and one just on a way out from high school, heading to college in August. Testing is so. When you sent this topic, though, I was thinking to myself because, I mean, a lot of people that listen to the shows would know, but by 10th grade, really more like 7th grade, I definitely realized even if I had the stuff to be academic, I just wasn't interested in doing that. So I tuned out from school and just kind of went through the paces by the time I was in high school. Thinking back, I don't remember ever studying. I mean, I was the definition of somebody who just cruised and just made it by the skin of my teeth, put no effort in. If it didn't interest me, I just wasn't interested in it. Just the complete lack of maturity at that age. But you know what I was good at? I always excelled at things that required just raw memorization. If I could put an acronym to it or a little rhyme scheme or a jingle, I was also a visual learner, obviously. So that always helped. So things like biology, where I could just memorize the names of the bones or the different systems of the body, totally fine. Anything that required actual effort and math and formulas and studying like chemistry, forget it. I just was not, I don't know that I had the intelligence or the capacity to do it, but I just never put any effort into it. So that was the thing with me. It was like, I mean, it was actually to the point of ridiculousness with me in high school because this is why I'm so grateful for my kids. They're so studious. They take it so seriously. The apple landed very far from the tree, thank God. But it would have made more sense for me to put a little more effort in because all I did was put no effort in and then worry myself sick, but not enough to actually do anything about it. Homework, studying. I don't even know how I got through it, honestly.
You feel worried because by the time you got to the test taking, you felt like you had underprepared. Yeah,
and tests never bothered me. Like, I know there's a lot of people that do the deer in headlights, freeze up during the test. It wasn't that. Like, I didn't care about that. It was just that I was literally never prepared because I never took notes. I never paid attention in class. I wasn't studying the night before. Maybe I would glance at a textbook for 15 minutes for a very big test. So I was a really rotten example of this, So where tests really ended up taking place in my life, which hopefully it's an interesting perspective and a little bit of a unique vantage point for some people, is testing in my career as an animator, which a lot of animators know, like no matter how much experience you have, if you want to work on a show or a movie, many times you're going to have to take a test.
What does that test look like? What is it? A set of technical questions? Is it a piece of art that you have to make for them? What does this process look like?
Yeah, usually, I mean, there could be tests for whatever role. So if you're going for a storyboard role on an animated feature film, they might give you a slice of a script and say, storyboard this, this kind of passage. Or if you're going for a character design thing, here's the look of the show. Here's the mom and the dad. We need you to design the 3 kids and see if you could hit the look and feel of this aesthetic. Mostly for me as an animator, it's actual animation tests. Here's a clip of the show. Here's a reference. Here's a storyboard. We want you to translate these 4 panels into an animated test. Here's the snippet of audio. You have to do it in 30 seconds. Can you match the look and the feel, the animation style, all that kind of thing? Which has been, I think it's a very frustrating thing. It's not a thing you hear animators talk about a lot because it's not sexy. But I always got very frustrated with it as I got further in my career because it was like I've obviously been employed by all these studios doing all these things. I could obviously do this. Do I still have to test? And I was taking tests as recently as a month ago. I mean, I'm 27 years into my career. So it's a known thing in animation that regardless of your experience, what your resume looks like and all of that, you're going to have to test. And while frustrating, it's actually kind of interesting. It's something I kind of learned to turn in my favor a little bit because I have some sort of techniques or philosophies about it now that I think have been pretty effective. And who knows, maybe as a person doing any kind of test, you could apply this thinking to whatever you're doing. But what I've learned is if I have an animation test, I'm going to try to make it I'm going to try to improve it and make it even better than you want it. Right. Which you could end up shooting yourself in the foot with that philosophy, because if they want somebody to parrot exactly what they have and take the storyboard and translate exactly what's there beat for beat and do exactly what they're saying, then you're probably going to fail the test. But if you try to improve it, if I look at a storyboard and say, okay, that's interesting, but I think I can make the acting better, I do it. If I think I can make the action better, I do it. If I think I could exaggerate something further, I do it in order to make it even stronger. And I've probably failed tests doing that because I'm not giving them exactly what they ask for, but it ends up benefiting me because it's not, if they don't give me that creative autonomy anyway, I probably would be miserable working on it. Right. So knowing that I could kind of make that and take it and make it a little bit my own, and then they like it and give me the job, then I know that's going to be a job that I can enjoy. And
I love that philosophy.
Lose my head. Right.
That makes a ton of sense. That's actually one of the things that I used to use way back in the day now at this point as part of my dating philosophy, which was I am not going to be able to sustain a fake persona long enough for it to make sense. And ultimately it's going to fail. at the end of the day, right? So my philosophy way back when was I'm going to try to be myself, open and honest as much as possible. And then, yeah, that's going to have a certain amount of rejection. That's going to have a certain amount of negative takes. But when there's a positive uptick, that's going to work out much better than the fake Rick getting a date, even if he really wanted one.
I love it.
And as it turned out, that philosophy did win me Mrs. Hoeg Law.
There you go.
So it worked out. I think it's a good one for jobs, just like I think it's a good one for dating. You want to put out what you want your life to be, what you want your persona to be to your prospective partner in life or business. And then that's going to get some rejections because it's not necessarily going to work out for what the other party wants. But when you get that correct match, it's going to be stronger and better than it would have been otherwise.
Yeah, it benefits you in the end.
Yeah,
right?
I think so.
I know there's a lot of, and I'm sure I have put myself through unnecessary financial duress, kind of sticking to that code. But right, and there's also, I know a lot of animators who I love who don't mind painting by the numbers. You know what I mean? I just know a month into that job, I'm going to lose my mind if I see an opening and I know something could be better. It's just my nature to want to make it better. And you should allow me to do that. I feel like that's kind of my job. So we have this reciprocal give and take thing. So I just did a test. Actually, now I landed a job recently that I'm psyched. I start in a couple of weeks. So again, if this is a lesson, it definitely worked out. But I took a job probably a month and a half ago where I know I killed the test, but I overdid it. I gave them a lot more than they wanted, and I thought it was hilarious. I thought my choices were really great. I thought I had it in the bag. Like, I thought I was just like, there's no way they can't love this. And I never even heard back, so it was the opposite of that. But what does that tell me? In the end, it worked out. And I also realized that's not a place you want to work. You know what I mean? Because even to say, like, look, you could have stuck to the brief, right? Even to get back to me and said, we really wanted somebody who would stick to the brief. We have a tough client. This isn't that type of show, but we appreciate your work. Then it would have been like, we see what you did here. Then it would have been, all right, that's a shot in the arm. And it's nice that they understood what I was going for. But to hear nothing, crickets, right? So that, again, like, it's a case in point. Like, it doesn't always work. But I think,
and it's hard at the time. I mean, I hear you talking about it right now, just like I would talk about my old dating life and talk about it with my siblings and whatnot. And it feels bad at the moment, but you can reflect on it in the way you're doing and say, well, it probably wasn't a great fit.
Yeah,
so,
but you stay true, right? You try to stay true to the philosophy. It is ultimately effective. You got to go through those trials where people aren't going to understand, or they're not going to go in for what you're doing. But it works out. So yeah, for testing, that's what I would say. I just don't have, I don't know. I think it's in, what grade is your daughter in?
She is a freshman in high school.
Okay, so she's just starting high school.
Yes, she has been working through it. It's very interesting. Anytime you're dealing with your kids, exactly how they relate to the world around them is not the same that you did. So, like, I needed a little bit of the kick in the butt from time to time. And, like, if I were to encourage my daughter to study harder or to try harder, it would be too much. Like, she puts so much pressure on herself that one of the things that my wife and I are finding that we have to do now is, no, it's okay to go to bed now. It's you've done it. You can answer all these questions. It's going to be okay. And so that's what we were dealing with this week. But yeah, it's still a new process. We went through our first midterms and first finals this year.
Yeah, it's a new thing. That's a new thing. And that's a scary thing. But I got to salute her for her maturity at such a young age. I know some kids have that. But to also have the discipline, like your daughter may enjoy, let's say, for the sake of argument, social studies and math, but she may not like English and science so much. So especially for those subjects where she doesn't particularly enjoy, or she finds them a little bit more challenging, to kind of have that grit to do your best anyway is something that I just did not have that maturity at that age at all. I mean, through my teenage years for sure, and into my early 20s, I just did not have that stuff. So I really get, and it's something that I see in my kids. Thank God. I don't know if they get that from their mom. Thank God they got it from somewhere. But that is a weird thing, and it sort of does culminate in the test, especially in school, where the proof's in the pudding. Then what you are and what you're made of, and the academic stuff. Not only the academic stuff, but like whatever makes all that matter that makes you, right? The mental toughness, the sacrifice, all that kind of thing. It's so funny that kids already display that when they're still young people. It's pretty neat.
It is. Now, Dagan, before I let you go, and Micah, you're in the batter circle. So think about your test stories.
I like that.
But Dagan, before I let you go, you mentioned that you had a lot of acronyms and mnemonics that you used. What is the strangest piece of information that you can call up from those memorization strategies? Because I can remember random stuff because of that memorization procedure from like when I was 12. And so I'm curious as to what you've got right now that you can tell me about, I don't know, the bones in the hand or whatever else from just your mnemonics and acronyms.
That's interesting. I don't know why I always go back to biology, because I think I freaked because was just pure memorization for me. And I saw that with my daughter too. She did that too, where she just aced biology. She's smart at everything, but she just aced biology the same way I did, where it was just like memorization. For some reason, it just worked for me. I do think about anatomy specifically, though. I don't even know about, I know I used to do the acronym thing, and it could be an acronym that was really wonky. Like, it just would make sense to me. It was almost so strange that it almost seemed like I was making more work for myself, but that's just the way I made sense of it.
Yeah.
Like, it was strange. But I do remember weird stuff, like memorizing the difference between the clavicle and the sternum, right? It was like I would think of the word stern and standing up straight. So that was in the middle, like really weird things, but somehow it worked for me. It would be even tricky to articulate to somebody else, but for some reason, that's how I made sense of it. So it was always things like that.
I love that. That's how I remember names, is that I usually think of like a character in a video game or a movie, and I associate that person's face with that character. And I am better. I'm not perfect or great at remembering people's names, which, if you're in the legal practice area or any professional practice area, is a lot of meeting new people in strange environments, then trying to recall why you know them in the future. So thank you so much, Dagan. I really appreciate it.
That was fun.
Micah, any fun test stories?
Yeah, well, I'll say first, I relate to your using like other like celebrity names is what I do when I meet someone new. Actually, like my really good friend Kirsten, we met at work. And when she first started, people kept getting it confused if she was Kristen or Kirsten.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, we all got to just think of like Kirstie Alley. And it did help. And then like we never made mistakes again, because it was, and then, we all, also she worked there long enough that, we didn't forget her name. But at the beginning is like, I never knew a Kirsten. I only knew Kristens. And so it was tricky, but I was like, Kirstie Alley. And that made it stick. Or like meeting someone named Alyssa. It's like, oh, Alyssa Milano. And just like, and they don't need to know that that's how I remember them, but it works. Yeah, tests, obviously, like huge part of your life when you're in school. As a kid in Massachusetts, we had the MCAS, and my third grade class, like my year of third grade, was the first time they instituted MCAS in third grade. And so we were like the youngest kids at the time to be taking the MCAS. So from a very young age, we started with the standardized tests every year. And of course, those greatly impact whether you move on to the next grade or not. The like most important ones were like your fifth grade MCAS, like eighth grade, 10th grade. Those were like the most important ones. I generally didn't mind testing too much. I was like a very judicious note taker in class, less so in elementary school, like, it's not really required. They give you, your worksheets to take home. Sure. But once you get to like middle school, high school, I was just like a really judicious note taker. And so I didn't have to study as much, but it's because for me, I noticed right away that the act of writing something down just helps you remember it so much better than just reading it, for example. So instead of spending an hour studying before the test, it's like, well, I took all these notes in class, and that that boosted the memory already. Because what I was not good at was straight memorization. My worst classes, despite how hard I tried, were always history, and I hated it because it's just memorizing dates. And I just, you get the test and it's like, what date did this happen? It's like, and they all look the same to me. That was never my bag at all. I was good at, contrasting with Dagan, I was good at like the math test because you have a formula to figure out the problem. But when it came to history and they're like, and what date did this war start? And it's like, I don't know. And they give you multiple choice and it's even worse because all the dates look the same. So when it came to straight memorization, I was very poor at that. And it affected like my history and social studies scores the most. But with other classes, it was just a lot easier because you're solving a problem and you have a set formula to do that. Or even just, I don't know, when it came to science, when it came to memorizing, the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell, like that type of stuff just stuck easier for me than anything related to history or world events. And maybe it's also because history was always presented so dryly. For every teacher I ever had, no one ever made history come alive. No one ever made history interesting. It was always the most dry, horrible class every year, and I hated it. So I struggled with those tests the most, but otherwise, I didn't mind it. I didn't mind test day. It wasn't too big a deal. I mean, I was a big enough nerd in high school that they offered me I could take an additional math class senior year, but they said I wouldn't be able to take an elective. And I was like, well, I want my art class. Like, can I stop going to gym? And they actually agreed to it. So senior year, nice. I got out of gym in favor of taking a second math class.
Oh, wow.
Jesus Christ.
It was fucking awesome. It was fucking awesome. Okay. So I liked school a lot, testing part of that. And I wouldn't get too stressed out about it, but now I also had a different experience. I was never expecting to go to college because I wasn't allowed to. So I didn't have as much pressure as some of my other classmates. So it's like I would do well on the test and it's like, that's nice. Because the goal is just to graduate high school. The goal is not to get into university. Yeah. But I would still do well and have good grades, but the pressure wasn't there in the same way. Maybe if I had big dreams of going to university, I would have had like a little more stress about it. But for better or worse, I didn't mind test day too much. A lot of it too is just being like, it's going to be fine. I mean, like, so the number one thing for a lot of this is like, so long as you aren't a little shit, your teachers are usually quite kind. They might, whether they grade on a curve because everyone struggled, or whether they give you, a makeup test because they know like you're normally a good egg and you probably had a bad day. Like, so long as you're not the worst fucking kid they've ever met, it's usually going to be okay. And that was another part of it. It was just kind of like laying low, flying under the radar, being a good egg. And your teachers will probably give you some grace in that scenario, or especially when teachers would do they drop the lowest grade of the year. Mm-hmm. I mean, that took so much of the stress off because it's like, well, at least that one's going to be gone.
Yeah.
In my adult life, only once did I have a real test at a job interview. And that was for the first job that I interviewed at when I was starting out in IT. And they put you in a room with a computer that won't turn on and they ask you to fix it. And you're allowed to have your own like laptop to Google stuff, but it was just like, here's a computer, it won't turn on and fix it. And so like first thing, like you had to open up the tower and you had to like connect a bunch of stuff because it was like, oh, like the hard drive was disconnected and this was disconnected. And then you had to go into the BIOS and do some settings there. And it was like an hour-long test of getting this machine up and running, essentially. And then they would tell you like, okay, now this user wants to do like this, this, and this. You had to go into settings and Windows and fix stuff. And that was really intimidating. Only because it was truly something you could not study for. You didn't know till you got to the interview what the technical test would be. Yeah. And I definitely didn't expect it to be so in-depth for what was an entry-level IT support job. Mm-hmm. I did get the job, which was cool. So that ended up being great. But that was really intimidating. I remember being super nervous for that. I ended up feeling better though, because they put me like in a cubicle, because that's how like the offices were set up. And the guy in the cubicle next door, who would become famous in some of my like work stories, he just kept saying, he's like, there's a test going on over here and people keep talking. There's a test going on. He was talking to himself. Okay. And he'd be like, they're being too loud. There's a test going on here. And it's like, why don't you shut up? Like,
was he an employee or was he testing too?
No, he works there. This was an employee.
He already worked there.
This is the guy who would like bring soup to the bathroom and shit. Like,
this guy's the best.
And he just kept going on, like, because at one point, like, the janitor stopped by to collect trash, and he was like, "Hey, how you doing?" And he was like, "There's a test going on over here." And the guy was like, "All right, sorry, man." Like,
he's really adamant.
He was, but then him like jabbering to himself the whole time. It kept me calm, because I was trying not to laugh at him, because I was like, "Who is this weird guy? He won't stop talking to himself about how loud other people are being while I'm taking my test."
Did you have somebody watching you the whole time for this, or were you left out to your devices for a little bit to figure it out?
They left me in the cubicle, which was also strange.
Yeah, that is.
Only because it's like, I guess on the one hand, if you felt like you were really stumped, you could just leave. You could just disappear. And when they check on you in 10 minutes, you're gone. And they'd be like, I guess that guy panicked.
Clearly, this isn't going to work out for me. I'm out.
Exactly. So they did surprisingly just leave you in this cubicle. It was a dead end at the end of the office. So there's nowhere for you to go. Like, I guess they'd see you leaving if you decided to make a beeline out of there. Right. But they were like, all right, here you go. And just left me with this computer to fix. But
interesting.
That was probably the most nerve-wracking test I ever took, because the stakes were actually high, and I'm trying to get a job over here, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, otherwise, it is funny hearing you talk about like the mnemonics, because I randomly always think of PEMDAS, and like, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Like, those will just pop into my head randomly. Don't need it. Do not need it. Don't need to remember any of this shit. I'm not doing algebra ever again. But those are the things that kind of stick in your brain forever. Or the mitochondria being the powerhouse of the cell. Thank you, middle school. We'll treasure this forever. We'll treasure it forever. Not needed. Not the career path I chose, but I guess I'm glad I know that.
Funny about those is my old economics teacher used to say, repetition is the branding iron of knowledge, which is true. But he used to say it like at least twice per class, so that it would in fact be the branding iron of knowledge for that specific line.
Yeah.
And I say it enough to my daughters that they will say it back to me. So like it's filtered across generations.
Yeah, that's cool.
That repetition is the branding iron of knowledge. So now you've heard it too. People listening to this show, share it with those around you. They will really appreciate it, and they'll really appreciate it popping it up in their heads randomly for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, no, those little things, they do just last a lifetime. Like whenever I go to spell the word rhythm, I always remember my music teacher, because she would do a little dance, to help us remember how to spell it, because it's one of those weird words. And she would do this little dance, and in my head, I still see her doing that whenever I type out that word or write it for whatever reason. And it just is. It's like, thank you, Miss Shishak, because that helped me remember it forever.
That's a great name.
Yeah, it's like a fake teacher name.
Oh my God.
Simpsons
she was
teacher.
Excellent. She retired when I was in middle school, and we did this whole like goodbye party for her, and we sang her a song. It was actually really sad because we all liked her so much. But she actually, one time it was when we were studying like Peter and the Wolf in music class. And she was like, you can either write an essay or do an interpretive dance. And I was the only one who chose the interpretive dance. And so the entire class, we all went to like this like separate music room where I'd have space, and I did my whole like fucking dance and whatever. And I think the dance probably took like 10 minutes, but I didn't have to write the essay. So
wow,
I've done some. When I look back at it, it's like I chose math over gym class. I chose interpretive dance over an essay. Things are a little incongruent, but we got through school. That's all that
got
matters.
through it.
Surviving.
The perspective, though, of not knowing you're not going to go to college is so interesting, though, Micah, that you still chose to generally do. You were in public school, right?
Oh, yeah. We were poor.
Well, I went to public school. I mean, we weren't rich by any means either, but that's the thing. The way the quality of public schools vacillate, from great to is really actually kind of disturbing in this country.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we had at a peak in 5th grade, we had 30 kids in our class, which I would later find out is a lot. But at the time, it was completely normal to just have, there's 30 kids in here, and if you need help from the teacher, you're screwed. So you got to take notes and you got to try your best because there's nobody to help you really. Yeah. And I also just liked school. I liked school a lot. It was kind of my escape from home. And so it's I did want to try my best. I also knew it was the only education I was going to get. Now I would later get my associates, and that's how I got into IT. But knowing that this was my only chance at education also motivated me because it's this is all I'm going to get. Yeah. So that was a unique part of it that I only realize now in hindsight is having zero expectation of being able to go to college really motivated me to make the most of it. It is so annoying. I have classmates who will still say stuff oh, they taught us, this, but they didn't teach us how to do taxes. And it's they fucking did actually, but you were too busy, smoking in the girls' room. We literally learned how to do taxes in Mr. Sabonis's class. Okay. We filled out the paper forms. They're I wish they taught us budgeting. It's they did, bitch. We had a whole class on budgeting. You were just too busy making out in the hallway. I was the one who gave a shit. So it's funny because whenever I hear people say kids need to learn real skills, I'm the problem is that they're too busy with all this extra shit. Because we actually did learn it, and none of my classmates seem to remember it because they were too busy being degens. And I was the nerd paying attention in class. But it's no, we learned taxes, we learned budgeting. He had us do a whole thing where we had to go on Craigslist and find a car. He assigned us a fake job and a salary, and we had to go on Craigslist, find a car, find an apartment.
Oh, wow.
Try and budget out our utilities. We did all of this. And my classmates will be man, school doesn't teach you anything important. It's
nothing practical.
It's it's not my fault you were too busy, chewing tobacco in the boys' room. Okay. That's not my fault.
Chewing your tobacco.
Oh my God. I mean, dip was huge at my school. That's the other thing is going to a trade school, expectations being quite different. Nobody was talking about the SATs at all. Nobody was talking about any of these tests really because it's a trade school. Most of us had the goal of going into the career of the trade that we selected. The kids who were going to go to college were primarily the health tech kids who were going to go into being an RN and shit like that, But otherwise, most of us were content with you did 4 years of auto body. You're going to go work in auto body. So that was the other thing too. The pressure at that specific high school was lower because you were supposed to be learning job skills and not necessarily continuing your education in the first place.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Micah. I really appreciate it. Colin, I think you're the last to talk about test taking. You have any interesting stories for us?
Yeah, sure. First, I want to say Micah and I have talked about just if we have kids that I would certainly want to send our kids to private school. Unequivocally, there's just it's not a reflection on the way I feel about teachers. There's many teachers in our family, and I've also had many great teachers in my life. It's a reflection of how in public schools, I went to private school as well, but I also went to public school. So, it's not a reflection on how I feel about individual teachers, although I think there are a lot of bad teachers. It's just that the system is just so busted up and broken, obviously. Kids are just becoming increasingly illiterate. They can't do basic math. There's a major problem, and I would want to nip that in the bud as much as I can. Not to say that private schools are, they're accountable.
Yeah, they're held to a high standard.
I went to one. I know that they're accountable in a different way because the people are customers, and if their kids are getting fucked around, it's not going to work very well. And I saw the way that worked, in different ways at St. Mary's. So I was like, yeah, I would probably just find a Catholic school and send them. And if depending, they can do the religion stuff or not. When I went to Catholic school, there were Jewish kids and Protestants, and they would just not do any of the religious stuff. Lucky. They didn't have to.
I also went to Catholic high school, and that was my experience as well.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
yeah. They didn't have to go to like confession, and they didn't have to go to mass, and they didn't have to say the prayers.
Mass period.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I never knew that was a thing. That's really cool, actually.
Yeah, because it's a high quality education. People just actually, one of the kids I went to school with that I was really good friends with, his last name was Katz, Katz. So it's like quite Jewish.
He's going to Catholic school. Wow, that's cool.
So test taking. I have this. I think a lot of people are like this, but I think I'm somewhat extreme in that if I don't naturally understand something or take to something, I really just don't even bother with it. And there are subjects that strike me like that. Interestingly, biology, which was coming up earlier as a strength, was like one of my major weaknesses and is one of my major weaknesses. I just don't give a shit for some reason about biology. There's just I am really deeply interested in chemistry. I'm really deeply interested in the earth sciences, geology, whatever. I'm really deeply interested in, physics. I couldn't do the math, but I like listening to seminars and doing all that kind of stuff. So I understand more about all of that stuff, but biology, man. And so when in New York, and I think a lot of people know this around the country, we have a thing called the Regents. And it's a series of tests that you have to take in high school. And you can graduate high school and fail the Regents and you don't get your diploma. You basically have to pass a series of tests every year so like you have to pass an earth science Regents, a chemistry Regents, a biology Regents, like a European history Regents, an American history Regents, math 1, 2, and 3 Regents. And they're like tests that they give to the whole state on the same day at the same time. And I would either nail those tests. Like I got a 99 on the European history one and 100 on the American history one. When I took it, but you have to get at least a 70 to pass. And I would get I think I got like a 73 or something on the biology one. Because it's not that I was I'm actually a pretty good test taker. It's just that I just wasn't interested in it. I couldn't study for it. I just couldn't pay attention to it. I actually remember my biology class at Mr. Dinowitz. Do you remember him, Dagan?
Oh, of course. Yeah.
He was a nice guy. He was weird. He would always say that he went to LSU or something like that. And so he always said things with a weird accent, even though he was like from the North. So he'd be like formaldehyde, like that guy. I always remember that. I'm like, what the fuck? But he was a nice guy. And his daughter actually was in, what was her name? Nicole, maybe? She was like this blonde girl. And I was friendly with her. She was nice. So it wasn't like the teacher or anything. I just wasn't interested in the subject matter. But I remember that class so well because of how fucking grating it was. It wasn't one of those things that came and went. And then you had like your lab periods where I was like, or it was like back to back. And I was like, bah, like I wanted to like fucking die.
Awful.
And then the same thing with AP classes. Like I obviously only took humanities AP classes. I was definitely ill prepared for math or science AP classes. Science I could do conceptually, but the math maybe I'd be most chemistry would probably be the one I was like most elite at. And to Micah's point, it was really because it was like all formula based.
Yeah.
And all math is, but it was just like plug in these numbers and this proton and this. And it's like, yeah, all right. Like I can do that. That's not so bad. And I enjoyed the labs and like fucking around with the beakers and shit, like pouring and accidentally making something, smoke or whatever. That was cool.
Mustard gas.
Yeah. Accidentally make mustard gas. It's funny because the AP, so by the time I started taking AP courses, so that was like 10th, 11th, 12th grade, and then off to college, it was really much more focused on the things I was good at. And the things I wasn't good at in college, like I had to take French for 2 years, right? 4 semesters at a fairly conversational level. And I was not having I really can't even believe that I got out of those classes. I would study like very specifically for the vocabulary and the things that I knew were going to come up or whatever. And the dialogue would have you would try to talk in French in some of these classes, and it's like, dude, and I say it over and over again. I'm like, if you speak French at like an infantile level, like really slowly, I can like start to like, yes. Yeah. And a little bit better at reading it, but not really. And it's just, I've made fun of myself many times over the years, but it's so funny how even though taking all those tests and excel, going up the ladder, people always say like, oh, this kid can't read and they're promoting him. It's like, dude, I couldn't fucking speak French and I found myself in like French 6.
Yeah. You just keep going.
Like I was like barely like at a French 2 or 3 level, probably, at my best. Like at my absolute.
You didn't get to the level though, Kyle, where you had to just abandon English, because that's what Lilia did. Like she got to a certain echelon where it was like you can't speak English in this class.
No, that what I in college that was like those were not all of them, but I guess the final 2 were that.
That's hard to fake.
Yeah, and but it's like I'm not. People would go into English all the time. No one knew it. Like, I want to say no one, but like I wasn't the only person in there like just hanging on for dear life. It's like, dude, I'm just trying to get a fucking history degree.
Yeah.
I totally get it. I got to be here. And I've also said that like you had to take like a remedial math class basically as like a humanities major, where we were so retarded in that class that like you're allowed to do the tests in groups because they understood. They were like, this is going to be your roadblock. When you get your graduate degree, obviously something like statistics is going to be your roadblock. But we don't need to hold you up for this if you're excelling in all these different areas or whatever. Yeah. I remember that well too. I made some good friends in that class too because they were. It was funny because we were all just like, there was like an archaeology dude in there and like some just random like philosophy guys and like all this. although the philosophy guys took logic, and that was much. I took a logic class and I dropped it. Actually, that was the one class in college I dropped because I was like, I can't do this. Like this is fucking complex as shit. I had no idea. I had no idea. It's all math. It's just math with letters. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's definitely not my forte. So test taking, what I remember, and I've explained this to Micah before, is like, and you might remember this, Hoeg, from your time in college too, in undergrad, is with history courses, there were some courses where you had to like write some essays and do some shit, but I was in classes where it was dead up like your midterm and your final was it. And many classes actually like that, where there was there might have been like a 10% for like class participation or like attendance or some shit like that to make sure you're not like fucking around too much. But they would just give you a stack of books in your syllabus. And this is what the lectures are going to be on. And this is kind of how you should keep up with all the reading and how the reading is going to relate to what we're talking about. And then we'll see you at the midterm. That will be 30 or 40% of your grade. And then we'll see you at the final. And that'll be 50 or 60% of your grade. And it would often just be blue book essays. And what I remember, it's so funny people being like, oh, the blue book and filling up the blue book. I'm like, dude, in those classes, and of course it was the college level, so it's different, but it's like, it would often be one question per book, right? You would like walk into the class and take a stack of books and sit down and you'd have 3 hours or whatever. Wow. And I've definitely told this story in the past, is that I was prepared for those classes. I take the history very naturally. It's sad for me to hear Micah's stories about history for 2 reasons. It's like, one is history is not all about dates, and anyone who teaches it like that is stupid. It's like very minorly about dates. It can only be about dates and places so much. We're recording this on a very important date. What's today? The day we're recording, June 6th.
June 6th. What's today, June 6th?
It's D-Day.
Oh, it is D-Day.
Somebody
actually told me that this morning, and I still didn't.
So, like if you ask me, like, when did the World War I start? And it's like, I don't fucking know, dog. Like, I don't know.
What do you think the answer is?
I feel like I'm cheating because
I'm going to say 1914.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, I only know that. That's that's when the Jehovah's Witnesses think the world started to end. I guess that's all related.
Yeah, 1914 is the date.
I feel like I'm cheating on that because I don't know if I've mentioned it here, but we homeschool our youngest daughter, and she's been going through World War I this semester. And I was actually going to mention this, Micah, when you talked about note taking, that one of the things I think is interesting about like what we don't teach kids is how to remind yourself what's important, how to take notes.
Yeah.
Because obviously that's different across everybody. So it's very difficult to teach in any kind of broad generalization. But like, it's been the hardest thing talking to her about, don't write the whole sentence. You just need enough to kind of keep in mind what you need to know, what's going to be on the test, etc., that you might see in the future. But like, I looked at her notebook the other day, and she's got all these notes about the various alliance entries as they join World War I. And then over like half a page in one of the last pages of her notes is U.S. enters the war. It's like, okay, she's very keen on when that happened. She'll be ready for that. But it's interesting that she decided to make that like large, bold font in her notebook. It's like, okay. And I think it's interesting that we just don't get any parameters for that because it's so hard to talk about in generalities in a classroom setting.
No, absolutely. Like learning to be a good note taker. It's true. I would have classmates who would literally just be like a stenographer writing everything the teacher said. And it's like, that's not really helpful later. I mean, you're going to just read the lecture back to yourself later on. Maybe that's your style. But it's not really going to work for you in the future as the classes get more advanced. It is a skill indeed to learn like note taking that's actually very effective for recalling things later and, you know, really helping yourself out.
Yeah. I was going to ask you guys this, though. And as three people who apply themselves a lot more than I did back in school, so either for yourselves or also for your kids, something that my daughter definitely ran into, which always frustrated me as somebody who really applied herself in school, right, and really took it seriously was, and, you know, someone who's an imminently graduating high school senior. I mean, she's graduating next week. What she ran into from time to time that always frustrated me, and again, I can't speak to it because I didn't take notes in school, was she would, you know, take steadfast notes, always pay close attention, but she encountered that thing of teachers putting things on the tests and quizzes that they never really talked about, which I translate to bad teaching.
Sure.
You know, have you guys ever encountered that?
Oh, absolutely. Like we had an entire issue when my entire 5th grade class was not taught long division. And when we got to 6th grade, we were given a test on it. My teacher, he was like, so everybody got this question wrong. So I want to go over it. And he's up at the whiteboard and he writes like a really easy problem, like 36 divided by 6. And he's like, how would you do this? And we all just sat there like, you can't. There's too many numbers under that. There's too many numbers under the hat. You can't do that. And he was like, oh, God. And like it came to light that my elementary school did not have long division in the 5th grade curriculum when the other elementary schools did.
Wow. That's a big miss.
Yeah. So when I do, when it comes to things like that, it's like, yeah, I'm going to blame the teacher a little bit because I like, you know, your daughter. It's like, yeah, I knew I was taking notes. So when something appeared on the test that should not have, like, that really wasn't talked about, like maybe the teacher said one time that, you know, the femur is the fartiest bone in the body or whatever. And it's like, you only said that once. Okay. Like, and then you harped on everything else, you know, the metatarsals and the whatever. And like, you only mentioned that one time. That sucks. And I would be very upset at stuff like that. Cause it's like, damn it, guy, you only said that one time. I do think though, they do that to be like, who's really listening? And it's like, oh, fuck you. You know, Mr. Barry, what's wrong? Not Mr. Barry. He was great. That's a real guy and he was excellent. He used to take his shoes off in class and just wear socks. And one time he killed a fly and he stapled it to the wall as a warning to the others. So not him.
That's a Colin
He was
thing.
excellent.
Yeah, that's what I've long done
with
that.
Spiders.
Warn everyone. So just to get back into what I was saying, I was saying that the two things that bothers me because it's not about, you know, Micah's situation. It's not about dates. It's poorly. And it also, I mean, 1A or 1B would be on that is like, it's also insulting to the craft of history. Like if people think that's what history is, get fucked. Like you don't know dick ass about fucking history. If you think it's literally like the dates are the easy part. The order, the presidents and like when they served is the fucking easy part. The easy part is when the Civil War was. The easy part is the order of the battles. That's like easy. That, you know, like the hard part is knowing what the causes of it were and the ramifications and what actually happened and the arguments over what happened. And this is why I've said is that I just don't even like ancient history to me is nonsensical. I was saying to Micah recently, actually, I haven't really voiced this where before 500 AD, I told her, I like looked at her because I was like reading something and I'm like, I'm not entirely convinced any of the shit, like some of the shit even ever happened. Yeah. For the simple reason that like when you look into the sources, when you get that old, it's like we know about some great philosophers, for instance, in Greece, because people wrote about those philosophers, like all of their works are gone.
Yeah. Secondary sources.
Right. It's like, it's exactly. And it's crazy to me. I mean, that's so sad, but it's just crazy to me. Like, I'm like, this is all piecemeal. Like, I don't believe any, like half of that they really understand half of the shit that half as well as they say they do. But once you get to a certain point and you have like real sources and, you know, multiple sources, and certainly by the time the printing press comes around and you have just ubiquitous writing and all of the rest. So that's a long time after 500, of course. But that's when I like really get into the weeds with, yeah, there are interpretations and there are reasonings and all of this kind of stuff. And that's history. And to me, I took test taking was fairly easy, and I was fairly prodigious at it in history because it was all about writing. And by the time you're in college, I don't think I took one test or quiz in college where I was like, what date did this happen? Or like here's a multiple choice question about like, it's like, that's not, no, it was like, how did the coercive acts like strangle the economy of Boston by way of these three commodities, you know, and like those kinds of things. Yeah. And the story that I remember is, it was scary as fuck. And I have brought this up for sure on the show before because it was the only time I took a test where I was like, oh no. In history in college it was a colonial America class, and the final was 10 questions and you chose 5 of them. And then you had, you know, your blue books to like, and you had like 3 hours or whatever. And I got through the first 5 questions and didn't know them, and got the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th questions. Like, and I couldn't believe it because I wasn't studious by any stretch of the imagination. I was like a pothead and but I went to class. I went to all my classes. I read all the books. I took notes. I wasn't like super obsessed. I worked jobs and did other things too. So I was like distracted by other stuff, but I was generally well prepared, and I just naturally knew a lot of the stuff too because I was interested in it. I was just deeply interested in it. So I liked reading the books, and I wasn't intimidated by the reading list of 9, 10, 12 books for a semester per class or whatever. And that was in higher level American history, especially. But yeah, I remember that really well because I was like, holy shit, I don't know this. Like, I actually don't. And then like you get to the second and the third, and usually you'll like, all right, I don't know. But I was like starting to get really fucking nervous. I was like, oh my God, did I like read the wrong books or something? I don't even know how it happened. I wish I had a copy of it to know and remember what the questions of it were. But
that's scary though.
Yeah, that's like a specific test taking memory that I do have. But it all ended up working out fine. I think I got like a B+ or something on the final, and it was fine. But yeah. What I was saying about what Micah was saying is just sad to me that history has become such a test taking regimen of facts when the facts are just like the parameters for what the history actually is, and that's what's so fun about it. And because I'm very right brained and not argumentative, but I like things that don't have answers, or like that. Why did World War II start? Like, that's a fucking big question, man. You know, that's there's like a million answers to it. That's what's so fun about it. And then you find one of those questions on a test and you just write. It's really just writing your opinion. It just has to be informed. And so I found that so much easier. And I always make fun of my experience in college, comparable to like my friends. Many of my friends, like that were engineers or architects or whatever, where they were like really in the weeds all the time. And I was reading a lot. I was always on the couch, like laying down and reading a book or whatever, but it was just like, this is fun and kind of somewhat straightforward. And then I'm reading about the American Revolution, and I get to go in and argue my case for why I think something happened. And as long as it makes some level of sense, it's right. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah.
And you're deeply interested in those things. So you're immersed.
Right. In hindsight, I realized that, and I don't say this I'm not like being facetious in my own way. It's like none of what I learned was incredibly important. Like I did spend 4 years learning like the most arcane and weird shit that has no use in the wider world, but was deeply interesting. And I'm glad I did it. And it was somewhat of an education, I guess, right? Like a bachelor's degree is a serious thing, but it's not that serious. There are people that know way more than I did. And I was very lucky to be in such a good program too. You know, I was thinking about when I took my, do you guys remember taking your SATs? I took I took it in 11th grade, and I got, I want to say like a 12, like low 12s or something. And I was like, that's fine. And I just took that score because I was totally happy with it.
Yeah.
Because I knew that kind of test was not going to be my strength necessarily, at least the math portion of it.
You only took it the one time, Kyle?
Yeah, I only took it once.
Okay.
And I never took the GREs. I
Oh.
I matriculated into into my graduate program. And I think I had it was something like I had a year or something to take it, I guess, after I started, but then it never even happened. So
the Regents Diploma, Kyle, the New York State Regents Diploma high school, I got one too. What do you remember? What was the purpose? So you would be more appealing to New York State colleges? Wasn't that the thing? You could get in. It was like a shot in the arm to get into New York State schools because there had to be a reason for it.
I think it was. I really just think it was. There probably was an advantage to that, but there was. I think it was just a way to standardize test everyone. To make sure everyone was. Because what I remember about the AP classes, and you probably remember this too, is so I took AP Euro, AP American, AP Lit, AP English. I guess what would have been composition, I guess, or whatever.
Yeah.
Man, AP Euro ate my lunch, Colin.
Oh, really? I found AP Euro was. I got a 5 on both AP Euro and AP. I
did not.
Yeah, I got an AP American, and I think I got a 5 in one of the AP Englishes and a 4 in the other one. It must have. I would imagine the writing one was probably the one I did better in than the AP Lit was probably the most difficult one. Introduced me to a lot of great books though, and of course Miss Parry, one of our favorite teachers.
Oh, the ultimate Miss Parry.
Miss Parry.
Yeah,
who Dagan and I both had. She was awesome.
The best.
What were we saying? What was the course of inquiry? I don't even remember.
AP Regents.
Oh, Regents, right. So the Regents system, I think, was just a standardized thing. And what I remember about the AP courses were they basically replaced the Regents classes. And then do you remember you would take the AP course through like early May, then you would take the AP test, and then they would basically teach the course that the Regents was based on in like the next 3 weeks.
Right.
And they would like cram it and I remember that specifically for AP American history because I remember Mr. Bose, who was like a great teacher of my AP history courses. He was awesome. We would wrap up the AP test and then he'd be like, these are the things that the Regents are going to be about that we need to know. Like we've been studying almost something else. And like I said, I got 100 on the AP American Regents. So
that's huge. That's a huge thing. I was only in AP English. And AP, that was the only advanced placement class I was ever in high school. And it was such I stuck out like a sore thumb. Like I felt like the kid in Breakfast Club, like the punk kid. You know what I mean? Like everybody, it was all like the valedictorian, the other top 10 kids in the class. And it was like me, who was in almost remedial everything else. So it was actually an interesting experience to be with those kids for one, kind of block of the day and never be anywhere near them academically in the other things. It actually felt, I'm going to be honest with you, it felt kind of cool because it made me feel like more of like a bohemian writer by the time I was in like 11th grade. It's like, oh, yeah, you're not good at these other things, but you can write.
Yeah, I felt the same way actually, where I had known at that point that I was mathematically challenged. I can do math is just like basic math, like through algebra, I would say. And I guess some geometry is somewhat straightforward and you take some of that, your scalene triangles and all of the rest. But after that, it's like, I didn't even get much further than that. And if you tried to introduce me to anything like that, it would be like we had in New York, and I'm sure that it's still called this, so it'll probably shake people to their core to even hear it. It's like sequence 1, sequence 2, sequence 3. These are what the math classes were called. Sequence 1's book was red. Sequence 2's book was green. Sequence 3's book was blue. It was like an iconic thing. You could identify like what class people were in just by the book they were carrying. And it was the same book that was used like throughout the state. And it was horrifying. And I hated it. I fucking hate math. And even then in the 90s, I was questioning like why I get there's no shade to people that love math, do math well. It's vital to understand it. It's not for me. I think I'm jealous that you get it. I look at it and it's algebra, but even in the 90s with our graphing calculators and stuff that we needed and all the rest, I remember asking like, why do I really need to know how to do this if this machine can just tell me the answer, if I can just do the inputs? And I could never really get quite over that, actually. And that was what I loved about the interpretive arts, was that a computer can never really do that, except for now it can.
Now it can. Now it can do everything.
Right.
So that caught up to
so
us.
That's all I have to say about that, I think.
It's good shit. You know what my lack of performance in high school led me? Did I ever talk to you guys about this? Because it was equally as embarrassing. By the time I got to college, and the regret, and I also waited a year and a half between high school and college. That's an important sort of side note that I was 20 when I started college. The regret of my lack of academic performance had already set in. And also that thing of like, I want to see if I could prove my mettle now. So what I did was when I got to art school and I had to take electives, I just kind of overachieved and over applied myself to like the US history, creative writing, very remedial math class, whatever else I took, a film history course, to the point of like the teachers were like, calm down. It's like it's enough. Like we get it. Like you're super, you're studiously taking notes and acing every exam, and you know what I mean? It was like it went too far in the other direction then. And it was already super easy. Like these were easy classes. Like the hard stuff was way behind. I had my chance, right? Like, so I kind of over course corrected when I got to college with my stupid electives to the point of the teachers being weirded out by it. And I was like, I can't win.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a funny kind of an arc that it took, but it was just like, I was day late, dollar short. There was no going back. Can never prove my mettle again.
You and I are the same. It's so funny. You and I share that like of like being like, it could have been different if I tried harder in high school.
See, you're smart enough where it could have been different. I don't know that I ever had that level of intelligence.
I'm just deeply lucky. I know. I get that. You think I've said this, but yeah, I'm going to get into Northeastern with a 1200 SAT and all the rest.
Above average, probably.
No,
average.
It's average, but I understand that I like kind of lucked into situations and then was at least wise enough to take advantage of them.
Yeah.
You know,
which is
in high school. I look back and I'm like, because I know people that really went to like an Ivy League school or whatever. Dagan knows I always wanted to go to Yale. I mean, that was like my dream when I was a kid. They have like a prodigious American history program, and I was, by the time it came to execute, I just didn't have, I didn't have that dog in me. You know, like I really didn't. Like there were people around me that tried hard and did really well and excelled and made, over a 4 GPA, weighted and all the rest. And I was like getting 3.5s and just kind of, I was proud of I was good. I just felt like I was like, I'm good. And I don't know why I felt like that. I don't know why I just assumed that things would work out, but I did assume that, and they did. And I don't have that energy at all anymore about myself, which is so strange. But I think that's a place of ignorance. Like that's an ignorant thing to think. And so you and I share that, I think, where it's like, yeah, I wonder, I'm so super pleased with the way my life has gone. I don't want to change a thing. I just wonder.
Yeah.
But I have steered a more determinative course. I don't know.
Yeah. I wonder how I would have stacked up to Sandra Farrington had I applied myself.
Was she the valedictorian?
She wasn't. She was like me. She was definitely in the top 10. I remember the valedictorian and salutatorian. It was Adnan and Tanya were the two. I don't know who was who, but they were both like brilliant. But Sandra was like definitely one of their bosom buddies. Like she was like third or fourth or whatever. But she was the one who always acted like, what is this guy sitting next to me in AP English for? Like she was the one that gave me that vibe. So, Sandra Farrington. I just remember she was so snotty about it. And so I always like, how would I have stacked up? How did I apply myself? Probably not anywhere close, but you're always left with that lingering question, right? Could I have stacked up? I gotta look her up. I wonder what she's definitely like a heart surgeon or something.
Well, it's funny you separated those groups because I always think in high school, college, and law school that like there is the group of people that are your contemporaries and peers that can do better than you at school, but you feel like you could compete with them and maybe best them on a test or two. And then there's the valedictorian, salutatorian class that are like the absolutely obsessed. School is their life. I'm not going to get to that level. I'm not going to be at that particular lunch table, whatever you want to describe it as.
Yeah.
And so you keep it to your sphere of, okay, I can definitely clear that guy if I put my mind to it. And that was how I ran through law school because I was never catching the valedictorian. But it's still important to beat the guy that you know is trying hard, but you can beat him if you try hard too. And so that's like kind of how I drove myself in these various settings. But
I love that, Rick. Isn't it funny how you know the field? You kind of know your field and you know your place or your projected place, and you just kind of vie for that position. And no matter what you do, I love that. I really speak to that. I've always done that too. Even like being the class clown. Like, it was like, all right, this guy's funnier than me, so I'm going to take a back seat to this guy. But in history, I'm the funny guy, right? There's always that. You're always kind of like, you're always jockeying for position or whatever.
You're always the guy in some room, and you're always definitely not in some other room. It's the way life works.
That's it.
But no, I really appreciate your stories, Colin, Dagan, Micah. I wanted to talk just very briefly on this in respect of law school, because I think it gets a lot of mystique and mystery if you've seen the paper chase, if you've heard people talk about the bar exam. One of the things that jumps out to me about law school that Colin mentioned really briefly is how few kind of scoring points there are. So every law school class I took, and I went to Michigan Law, I don't know if this is the same across every law school, although they're all accredited in various ways by various bodies, is you have this class, you take it all semester, you have one final, that's your grade. So I remember in the tail end of my first semester at law school, what they call 1L, your first law school year, I was not petrified, but really, really animatedly interested in what this test experience was going to be like, because you'd sat there for 12, 14 weeks. You've learned what you think was appropriate. You've taken notes. You've read the cases. You've had the conversations with your buddies. And my wife will attest to this. But I was not studying as long as my roommate was, as the people around me were. They were going to the law library. They were coming back at 3 a.m. And I would call my now wife, then fiance, and say, like, I don't know whether I'm falling behind. I feel like I've read the case. I've gotten everything out of it. I'm moving forward. But like, my buddy is out there for another 4 hours and seems to be driving himself absolutely crazy. And I'm worried because I haven't gotten any grades yet. I have no idea how I'm doing. And that was a process. That 1L year, you go and you do your best. You don't know what to expect. You've never even seen a law school question. And then you take those tests and you get your grades and you kind of have a feel for whether you can do this or not.
Wow.
Which is one of the reasons why after that first 1L like test period, you have the most significant kind of dropouts of the law school right then, as you get, okay, this isn't for me. I'm not figuring out what I should be figuring out. But I remember that I was worried enough that the way law school works, or it did when I was there, was that classes would end and then you had a week before finals started. And in that week, essentially how people were studying at that time, and I think still probably now, is you would write an outline for your class. Now, law school exams are interesting because they are open book, but essentially they're structured so that you don't have enough time to really do a complete set of analysis in the room when you see anything, certainly not to look up things in the book. So the idea with an outline is you take the syllabus from a class and you look at all the things that are in that class and you write up what you think is important about those various pieces of subject matter. And then a law school exam is, all right, we're going to give you a fact pattern. We're going to tell you that Teresa hit Bob with her car and then her wheel spun off and hit Mike on the corner, or whatever the actual fact pattern is.
Oh, no.
And your job as a law student is what they term IRAC. It's what are the issues presented? What are the rules about those issues? How do you apply them? And what's the conclusion? And I looked at this situation as a 1L person and I said, I am going to be that deer in the headlights. I don't want to have that happen. So I'm going to write my outline essentially in advance. I'm going to write my law school answers in advance. And I'm going to take this outline and I'm going to say, all right, if this issue in torts pops up, if this issue in property or contract pops up, this is what I would want to say about it. And then I would take these law school finals and I would say, all right, it's a 4-hour final. They were almost all 4 hours. And the first 2 hours, I'm going to issue spot. I'm going to try to find every possible thing that relates to this fact pattern, because if the teachers are doing their jobs right, they've basically made a set of facts that incorporate every possible thing they taught you all year. I'm going to organize that. And then at the 2-hour mark, I'm going to switch to writing the essay by going and finding the parts of my outline that apply to what I just spotted. And I thought that was a good idea, right? Now,
it sounds like it.
The problem with it is that it is extraordinarily time intensive for that week between classes and the test. So I don't think I did a great job of this, but the idea was that you balance out how much time you're spending writing the outlines and getting some amount of rest and recuperation ready for test week. And it was in that light that I had written up all these outlines, and I'm a 1L getting ready for my property exam. And the night before the property exam is the midnight release of Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers. And I'm thus faced with a dilemma as a very nerdy person who adores the Lord of the Rings and had just recently adored Fellowship of the Ring the year before. I have to decide whether I'm going to go to this 3-hour movie from midnight to 3 a.m. on a day when my final for property, the only grade I will get in that class, starts at 8 in the morning.
Oh my God.
And I would love to tell my daughter, if she ever sees this clip, that I said, no, that movie will still be there. I will watch it another time. But of course, that's not what I did.
I love it.
And I was very excited to be at that midnight showing. And I was entirely reliant on my outline going into the property final. And that morning when I went to go get my outline, my laptop had a brain fart and died and exploded.
No.
And I had to get that outline back out of my laptop fast enough to get it all ready for the test, because those at that time, I'm sure this is the case now, but at that time, the exam was given by laptop and you had to type everything in, and they had special software that prevented you from doing things that they didn't want you to do.
Oh, wow.
We didn't have, obviously, like generative AI back then, but it was that kind of thing, not letting you go out on the internet, only using your own notes, etc. And I remember I finally got that working, and the property exam went just fine. And like so many things that you're anxious about, that you are concerned about, the thing I would want my daughter to take away from this is that I think, as Micah said as part of her answer, generally speaking, everything's going to be okay, right? Everything's going to be okay. Even if that maybe wasn't the wisest decision to go to a 3-hour midnight premiere, things still turn out all right. And one other thing Micah said that I really liked, which was, if you're not the worst kid and they hate you, think that things are going to be okay. I also have, as a kind of life philosophy that I've used in basically everything that I have ever done, that you want people to root for you, that you cannot do it all alone. And you can do a lot by yourself, maybe, but there will be times when you're going to need other people. You're going to need people to be hoping that you succeed, hoping that you do your best, hoping that you're okay. And if you can get people to feel that way about you, you're going to have better, more lucky circumstances in your life. I felt like this in the hospital. I felt like this in law school. And in general, it worked out because those law school exams are anonymous. But I said one of the other things that I was doing during school was trying to speak up, answer questions, and just generally get my voice known by the professors so that if I needed to, I could write my essay answers in a way that I felt would identify myself and maybe get some of that goodwill. And I don't know if that ever worked. I don't know if they would ever admit to it if it did. But that was the idea. That was my testing philosophy. That's the advice I would give my daughter and have given her on this stuff. Like I mentioned earlier, she doesn't need that kick in the pants. She mostly needs to be told, it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
You've done what you're supposed to do. It's going to be all right. People like you. You're a good kid. And from my perspective, and I don't think she always hears this from mom and dad, as it were, if that's a B, if that's a C, if that's something that you still feel like you did what you could and it just went wrong for whatever reason, that's not going to affect how I feel about you. That's not going to affect your life in the long term. It's going to be all right.
See, I do the opposite, Hoeg. I tell my kids, you could have been born Korean, and if you come home with a 97 instead of 100, I'm going to beat you with a rose bush.
I truly feel like that's the right advice for some kids. Like, one of the other things I wanted to say was that, Colin, you talked about dates in history a lot, and I am very sympathetic to this difficult transition between kind of teaching elementary school, even middle school history, and then getting into high school and college history. Because if you look at these textbooks, I said we're homeschooling my youngest daughter, some of them are just, and then they won this battle, and then this happened, and then this happened, and there'll be some dates on the side, and then this happened, and like that's it. Because you don't necessarily want to ask them to start getting into analysis and critical thinking about causes and factors, even though that is where history lives. I agree with that entirely. And more to the point, it's difficult for groups of people. Micah talked about a class of 30, moving up and knowing exactly when it's appropriate to switch from 1914 to 1917 to let's talk about exactly who Franz Ferdinand was and what that meant for alliances, etc. Like, so it's difficult even for good teachers, I think, to make that swap, and certainly for curricula who are created by large bodies and organizations to impose on these huge organizations to say, okay, this is the point in time where we switch from dates to critical analysis. And so I am sympathetic to the teaching issue there. Even if a body, a public school or otherwise wants to be good at their jobs, it's hard to know exactly how and when to make that shift.
Yeah.
So I do think it kills some love of learning in the crib, so to speak, because if the kid advances to, I really should be thinking about the why of it all, and you just keep telling me, and then this country did this, that's just a list of things and a list of dates, and it's boring me to tears and I want to die, then you're going to lose that kid, right? You're going to lose that love of history. You're going to lose that love of learning. I am very sympathetic towards it because I have seen my two kids, and I only have a sample size of 2, treating these things at the same age very, very differently.
Yeah, I it's like, little boy, tell me about how you feel about Christopher Columbus's interactions with the indigenous Americans. You know, like maybe they're not ready to take that on yet.
Or Colin, when you'll be like, my kidney's hurt, and I'll be like, where does it hurt? And you'll be like, right here. Yeah. And it's like you're pointing to like your like front shoulder or something. I'm like, it's not your kidneys. You know, we just all have different strengths.
Yeah, I just don't, because again, I don't care for some reason. Like, it's weird, but I don't know why I don't care. I just don't care about the intricacies of the human body. I'm like much more interested. It's kind of like why I'm more interested in space than the ocean. It's like the things that are further off, I guess. I don't know. They attract me more. But
yeah, well, it's all intertwined. Like, you know, why was biology my favorite thing, right? It was or the thing I connected most with probably had something to do with art, anatomy, learning how to draw the human figure, that sort of thing, right? It all makes sense, right? Hoeg, I have 2 very important things to say to you.
Yeah. I'm
going to end with the most important thing. 1, full disclaimer, I don't know if it's a Korean thing, but I did know of a Korean guy whose mom did beat him with a rose bush. Okay, I don't know if that's a Korean thing in general, or if that was just a specific mean mom, regardless of affiliation. Second thing, Hoeg, very important. 2 Towers, best book, worst movie.
I really like that movie. I don't think there's any battle I like more than Helm's Deep in cinema.
I'm going to disagree with you there. The book fair. Is easily my favorite. And I think that's why I was so... Peter Jackson trilogy, still love it, especially Fellowship.
Yeah, it's awesome.
But I don't know. Fellowship holds a special place, right?
Yeah.
And still holds up for me. But yeah, I love that book so much that I just had... I don't like the changes. Even the little changes that they went with for the film. Not fond of.
I'm a sucker for everybody talks on the eve of apocalypse. And like, there's so much of that in the middle of 2 Towers that I just love that vibe.
I get that. Yeah, I could get that. That's definitely an appeal. I think that's an appeal of 2 Towers in general, regardless of the format. But yeah, that's interesting. I love that though. I love that you couldn't steal yourself away. You know what I mean? You had to go do it.
Yeah, you couldn't just go see it that afternoon.
I remember thinking it was a bad idea at the time. I just want to tell people it all worked out.
Yeah, that's good. So that's good. It happens like that sometimes.
I remember specifically there was a kid in my 5th grade class who, I don't remember which movie it was that year, but he got, a note from home because him and his parents and his sister were all going to the midnight release of one of the movies, and he wasn't going to be at school the next day. And I was like, this is fucking bullshit. All right, Gary gets to miss school because his family's taking him to the movies? I was like, this is a load of hogwash. Like, my parents were never that cool. Ever, not once. But when you have a big nerd family, which is what I wanted, you get to go see The Lord of the Rings at midnight and miss school the next day.
Yeah, see, I like that. Everybody needs a free pass. Everybody should have one IP that's like a free. It's like, it's like the married couple always has the free pass. Like, if Johnny Depp came along, I would give Helene her free pass to cheat, right? It's like everybody should have that one free pass for a movie as well. I don't know if it's Johnny Depp anymore. I'll check with Helene on that. Maybe this has been updated. Probably has been updated. But you got to have the free pass IP. Like if they do an Akira live action movie, that's going to be my free pass. Now, I'm worried about that. But everybody's got one thing.
You definitely should be.
I'm super worried about it.
Live action translations don't have the best track record?
No, they don't. They really don't. But I like this topic all culminating it in for all four of us is it worked out. It did work out, right? It always just kind of works out in the end, regardless.
For some people, it does. I consider myself a lucky person.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it kind of does for everybody ultimately, given enough time or whatever, trials and tribulations and all that. But yeah, the four of us are particularly fortunate, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. That story, though, of being in your first year of law school, it sounds like law school in general, where you're in that period of no feedback, though. There's just like
it's
no
crazy
way to know how you're doing is the most insane thing I've ever heard of.
I have never felt more unbalanced than my roommate and his study group going off for 4 to 6 hours to the law library, me staying in my room, studying the cases, being done in like a third of the time. Like, I don't understand if like I am not doing it right or whether they're just really overstudying.
Yeah, that's got to be that like loop of having no sense of up or down or how you're doing, and it all culminating in one moment and one test that's nervous. I mean, that's anxiety personified, I feel like.
And the worst part about law school is that first semester of 1L are the grades that are mostly going to be the best available to future employers for your 2L summer. So the way law school works, or at least the way law school worked at Michigan, is that you'd have on-campus interviews to place people in their summer jobs at law firms in between 2L and 3L. And for that interview process that happens at the beginning of 2L, they mostly only have your 1L first semester grades. Like,
holy shit.
Okay, so yeah, let's go. And I'm going to do my best and we'll see what happens.
Wow. That's for employment or internship?
Well, so the pipeline to get hired at what they call big law, the big firms that make the big money, is that they go and they find law students to employ between their second and third years of law school that will then ideally get a job offer that will be actionable after they graduate from law school. Then there's a secondary test period where you actually get hired by big law firm, judge, whatever it is that you're doing. And they employ you with a note on the bottom of your signature that you're not yet a lawyer between your graduation in May and when your bar exam results come in, which is probably November.
Oh, wow.
Because you take the bar exam in June, and then it takes them a while to actually get that score back. And that's actually one of my other funny test stories, because you hear about all the horror stories about the bar exam because it's so important and you can't practice law. You don't have the same livelihood that you want to have if you fail it. Is that I took the bar exam on the floor of the Michigan State Spartans basketball court, where they brought in everybody in East Lansing, the city right next to Lansing, the capital of Michigan, and they had everybody that was taking the bar exam on the floor of this court. So you have like a stadium viewing area while you're taking this thing. And I actually did have the story where someone just absolutely freaked out next to me and stood up. I screamed something that I can't remember properly and walked out of the room and never came back. That's a multi-day test, so it's something like 12 hours combined. But yeah, just couldn't take it, screamed and left. And that's being a lawyer, folks.
I love it. It worked out for that person, we think. That's the lesson.
We hope.
We don't know how.
Yes.
But it worked out.
This too shall pass really is one of my necessary touch points, because there are seasons that are just unfun. That just happens to everybody. However lucky they look, whether they're your favorite celebrity, you're the richest person on earth, whoever it might be, there are seasons that are just not fun.
Absolutely. Yeah, we could all speak to that, my friend, for sure. This too shall pass is probably the smartest words ever said. I agree. My grandma used to say that. And I didn't get it until I was in my 20s. And then somehow it's just like, oh, yeah, I get it. Well done, my friend. What do you think, Hoeg? Are you pleased?
I am more than satisfied. Right. Absolutely.
That was a fun one. Micah, you're monkey in the middle today with your topic.
All right. Yeah. So my very easy topic. This is something that's been on my mind recently, and it's just foods you wished you liked. Whether it's because you always see this item and you're like, it looks delicious, but you just don't like it. Whether it's because you are badgered to try it by friends and family and you still just don't like it. I was just curious if there were foods that you guys said, like, I just wish I liked this. I have 3 that I came up with. Number 1 being salad dressing. If you know me, I always eat my salads with just salt and pepper. You know, all the fixings. I like the boiled egg and, you know, ham, whatever, chicken, but no salad dressing. I'm really just not a fan. And the pros, of course, it's lower calorie. It's better for you. The cons are numerous. People ask a lot of fucking questions about why you don't want salad dressing. One time, the waitress, you know, I just said I wanted the chicken, you know, whatever salad, no dressing. She stopped writing on her little notepad and like looked me dead in the eyes. I was like, no one's ever ordered that.
What?
And it's like, well, so just make it, you know, like I'm saving you money. I'm paying the same price. I'm saving you money, right? It is just always one of those things that I just wish I was normal and could just say ranch, please. You know, what kind of dressing do you want? Thousand Island. Like, I wish I just liked it, because the alternative, I'll say like, you know, which dressing? Oh, none. Thank you. Are you sure? We have, and they'll list like 20 disgusting pastes that I do not want to eat. And it's like, no,
you are describing the creamy dressings.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, the vinaigrettes also, I don't want it. You know, I just don't want it. And
have
it's
you
like,
tried
no,
them all, Micah? Have you tried all of them?
it's the
full
wet
gamut.
lettuce that I don't like. The dressing itself can be passable, but it's the lettuce is wet. And I don't like that.
I think the dressed salad is like the cereal in the milk bowl. You gotta eat it fast. It's not going to last very long, but it is good. I can vouch for salad dressing. I like vinaigrettes myself, but it is certainly the case that you let that get soggy and it's no longer any good.
I like that.
So for example, the Moriarty family has like the special salad that you guys make for like cookouts and stuff. I tried that several times and it's fine. You know, it's got like the apple cider vinegar and sugar or something in it.
Sure.
It's fine. If you gave that to me, I would eat it politely. But your cousin Jamie quickly figured out that I don't like salad dressing, and she would just make me a plain salad on the side.
Okay.
Because it was still my preference. I was like, it's fine, but I just would rather you didn't put anything on it. You know, I just would rather you didn't. So salad dressing is first in line, because it's just always a problem that people have. It's like, it's not that I didn't understand the salad dressing list, you know, friendly waitress. It's that I don't want any of them, you know, but
okay.
The other one was tuna fish. And to be fair, I don't think I've ever eaten it. But A, it's usually made with mayonnaise, which we're going to get to. And B, it smells terrible. And tuna is one of those foods that I cannot ever try it, because the smell alone I find horrible. Somebody opens a can of tuna. I remember my mom used to make herself tuna sandwiches. My sister also hates it. And it was like the whole house would stink just from opening the can. And it's just horrible. And the thing that has this on my mind, though, is I keep getting these YouTube ads for this luxury brand of tuna. And I'm just like, I know I wouldn't like it, but the bougie side of me is like, I'm missing out on this fancy ass tuna. Because they're like, literally in the commercial, they're like, look at the packaging, look at the can. This is high end tuna. I'm like, it is high end tuna, yeah, but it still sucks. It still sucks. I don't want it.
I get it.
And the major thing with tuna is actually that my repulsion to it is such that if I'm at like the airport and somebody opens like one of the prepackaged like convenience sandwiches and it's tuna, and I'm like, God, like I wish I liked it only so that I wasn't so upset that someone was eating it in my presence.
Now, what about a tuna steak, Micah? You go to a nice restaurant, they serve a nice slab of tuna. How do you feel about that?
I've never tried it.
Okay.
I have no interest. You know, and they usually serve it like rare in the middle, and it's like, it's fish, dog. Don't do that. Don't do that to fish. No. You know,
it's a meaty fish.
Cook the fish. You know, cook it. It's why I don't do sushi. I've tried sushi and it tasted fine, but I'd rather you just cooked it. I would prefer it actually if you would just cook it. So that's another one. But third on the list, of course, mayonnaise. And I'm saying this as someone who's half white. White people put mayonnaise in everything. And it's a problem for me because I hate it. And it just creates so many roadblocks. Going to a family cookout is like going to the mayonnaise expo. It's like we have 6 side dishes. They all have mayonnaise.
Oh, the salads.
And it's like, great. And then it's really about the questions. It's not even like, I don't care that I don't like half the food that's presented to me, but the family cares. And the constant, why aren't you eating more?
It's so annoying.
Why don't you like this? And this is not about your family. It's about all white families, of which I am a part of my own. When I go home to visit my dad's family, those are all white people. So, and I love them dearly. But the mayonnaise, and it's fucking everywhere. And it's like, why aren't you eating more? Did you try this? It's like can we just accept it that at this, I think I know whether I like mayonnaise. I'm 31. I think I know for sure. Like with toddlers, you're supposed to introduce a food 20 times or some shit. And it's like, I think I know about the mayonnaise. And God, there's so much to mayonnaise, but it just is. It's like, did you have mayo surprise number 5? Like, it's my favorite. It's like, no, grandma, I didn't thank you. It's just always a problem. And like restaurants, restaurants treat mayonnaise as a default condiment now. Burgers, grinders, whatever it is, mayonnaise is the default condiment, and I hate it.
Aiolis, right? You can't do an aioli.
No, God, I just don't like it. I call it sandwich pudding. I don't want anything on the sandwich. I don't want nothing on there. It's gross. I just don't like it.
You know what the shame is for you, Micah, though? You love barbecuing and grilling, so no coleslaw, potato salad, or macaroni salad for you.
God, no.
You can't do
none
it.
Of those.
All right, so no side dishes, essentially.
I mean, when we host a cookout, I'll make a bunch of food that I fucking hate. It got rave reviews, my cheddar bacon broccoli salad that I made last year for a cookout.
That was good.
Yeah, I didn't even try a bite. It looked disgusting. I made like an avocado chickpea salad that also looked repulsive. Everyone liked it. I'm good at making white people food, but I do not like it myself. I give me the mac and cheese, give me the collard greens, give me all that stuff. But cornbread. All right, give me foods that are a little dry. Let me eat something dry for once. For God's sake, kind of the theme. Do you people have any foods that are dry? That are like sopping? Just give me something. Give me one thing that isn't like fucking. It's goopy. It's all goopy with you people. There's too much cheese and everything. There's too much mayonnaise. It's all fucking gloppy and so I can't stand it.
Wow, you went to you people pretty quick there, Micah.
She's upset.
As somebody that likes mayonnaise, I will vouch for. It was a surprise to me when I went out to California, where my wife is from, and I got a burger at a restaurant and it had mayo on it. Like that was not the case in Michigan. I don't know if it's still the case because I don't go get burgers at restaurants very often anymore. But that was a surprise, and that was the norm in California, at least back when I would visit with her and her family.
Wow!
And so I had to remember to say no mayo on the burger. So I agree with that. I don't like mayonnaise on a burger, but I do like it on a sandwich.
What part of Cali is Mrs. Hoeg from?
Southern.
Okay.
Her family is from a town just outside of Pasadena.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. Yeah.
And the restaurant issue, the biggest thing with the restaurants is I have to know that they're actually going to not ignore my request of no mayonnaise. There is nothing worse than ordering like a turkey and ham grinder, taking a big bite. Oh, they put mayonnaise on it because the guy at the register just didn't give a fuck. So there are things I just don't order at certain places because I don't trust them to not put mayonnaise on it. I don't want to wait 20 minutes for a replacement. I don't want to upset them. There are things I just simply don't order. It's like, I would love to have a hamburger, but I don't trust this guy to not put mayonnaise on it. So
there is a value in just ordering off menu or ordering what's on the menu because you don't have that trust that the organization is going to get it right for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh my God. No. So there's a place we really like. This restaurant Chard. We really like them. And I would trust them. I would like 80% trust them to get it right. The thing is that their burger has so much shit on it that I don't want. It's like, can you make just a standard burger and the deluxe? Well, it's like it's got pimento cheese.
They'll do it.
They would do it, but I'd have to be like, no pimento cheese, no mayonnaise. Like, it's like a million things that I don't want on it. I literally just never order the burger there because I'm like, it's too much work. You're going to fuck it up. You're going to fuck it up. I'm going to have to deal with it.
Yeah,
it's too custom. Yeah.
Whether I send it back or not, I have to deal with it in some fashion. So I only order the burger at Taza because there it's just like, no tomato, no Dijon. And they're like, okay. And they've never messed it up. So it's just one of those things of I do have to game that out at certain restaurants, whether I think they're up to the task or not. Burger King, I think there's mayo on the Whopper.
Yeah.
And it's like your odds of getting a Whopper no mayo are fucking slim.
Yeah, they might have started it.
They're fucking slim. If you trust that Burger King, it's got to be an elite Burger King to actually get that Whopper no mayo. Just get the chicken sandwich.
The Dover, New Hampshire Burger King would be the only place you could possibly order that.
That was a good one.
That was a really good Burger King.
Even like Dunkin' Donuts, man, I would be flat out. I'm like, just bacon and egg on a plain bagel. And they cheese, no cheese. They put cheese on it like 60% of the time. And I fucking
it's just muscle memory. It sucks,
cheese.
Like,
it's muscle memory.
I know, but it's like, I'm
careless.
saving
It's carelessness.
money.
It's carelessness. I worked at as a high school kid, as people know, I worked at a deli making egg sandwiches and deli sandwiches and everything like that. It's like constant customization. You have to. People are like crazy about that kind of shit, especially where we're from. It's like, yeah, that's the way it goes, and that's cool. But I understand you make things a certain way, and then there are those places where they're like, don't ask for anything off menu and don't change any of the plates and
don't customize,
which is obnoxious in its own way. But
well, yeah, I mean, I probably just wouldn't even go to a place like that.
I've definitely been to places like that, but it's annoying. It's annoying.
I definitely think not liking mayonnaise is going to put you in that bucket more often than like me.
It's constant. Like I am constantly scanning the menu and being like, all right, that's got mayonnaise. This has got mayonnaise. Which of these are they less likely to mess up if I say no mayonnaise? Right. And with exceptions, I'll eat mayonnaise. I know, for example, crab cakes have mayonnaise in them. I do like crab cakes because you're only using like a dollop of mayonnaise to hold it together.
Okay.
All right. Like I don't mind it on that level, but your macaroni salad, which is literally just like noodles and mayonnaise in a bowl, I'm like, this is fucking horrible. All right. And I can't tolerate that.
And the heat, something about that in the heat. I don't mind it, but it's the heat.
God. No, you know what? You just
not compatible.
You said heat. That reminded me
too much.
This is like one of my worst break room stories ever. Is that one? It was when I was working at the department store, and a woman microwaved macaroni salad, the mayonnaise kind. Can I tell you, it was one of the worst things I've ever smelled.
That's a violation.
And that was after I smelled the time that we opened the like shark preserved in a jar, which we definitely should not have done.
I remember that story. Yeah.
That probably shortened my life by like 6 years, but it smelled worse than even that.
That's
disgusting. And it filled the room. When she opened that microwave door, like it was like a cloud of gas approaching the rest of us.
What kind of monster was that?
Oh my God, it was horrible.
To me.
It is still maybe the worst thing I've ever smelled was when she microwaved that macaroni salad.
She deserved to get really sick. I'm sorry. I would not normally say that, but that is an affront to humanity.
Yeah. So those are mine. I just wish I liked these foods because it'd just be convenient. It would just be so nice to just like those foods. I'm going to pass it over to Colin.
Oh.
I think if you have a short list, I think I could guess a couple of them, but I'm curious what you're going to say.
Oh, no.
I have approximate knowledge of my husband.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that it's similar to what you say is that I'm just annoyed that so many people are so focused on what other people are doing. So when you don't like, which I just don't understand why people give a shit about all this stuff. I really don't. Like, why aren't you eating this? Why don't you like this? Like, why do you care? The fuck why do you go to bed at this time? Why do you, it's like, just go worry about something else. So to that end, to ameliorate that, the things that I think would be most useful for me to like would be things like seafood.
Oh yeah.
So obviously a big Long Island tradition, of course, but I mean, it's a big Italian thing as well. And it's weird from both of those intersections that I just don't like seafood. You know, we grew up on the water. Shit's shoved down your throat your entire fucking life. then you have this Italian, Sicilian kind of American upbringing where, you do the 7 fishes and all that, and it's just constant.
Yeah.
And to this, I mean, it annoys me because I always tell Micah, and I do mean this, is that like, no one cares less about what I have to say than everyone in the family. Right. So, like when I'm 40, right. And I don't expect people to know me like the ins and outs of Collins. Like that's fine. But it's like, oh, you don't, serving some shrimp dish or something. It's like, oh, you don't like shrimp?
How can they
and I'm
still
like, what the fuck is going on here? Like,
how is that possible?
It's like, I'm like, Micah, just observe how no one cares about anything I say. And it is true. Like, not like, it's just like total blank slate kind of, we learn, it's like a 51st dates. And I'm Drew Barry, and they're Drew Barrymore, So, so I think like being open to seafood would be, and I just don't like seafood. Now, I've had shrimp, lobster. See, like I don't mind lobster, but I'm just drenching it in butter so I don't taste the lobster.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like a massive waste considering how. I'm sorry.
It would be for you because like no, it's like if you don't like just the plain lobster, it is. It's like I mean, who doesn't love butter and salt?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Right?
So, and it's the same thing with like the shrimp and like I used to get with the breadcrumbs on it. You're just trying to taste the breadcrumbs and then. The thing crab is the same way. I never told the story. I don't think I was thinking about it actually as everyone was talking, is that in 2012, maybe something like that, 13, I went to a Valentine's Day dinner with my girlfriend at the time. We went to this nice restaurant, but we didn't realize it was like, what do they call it? Prefix menu. So I was like, oh man. And one of the dishes was like a crab dish. And I was like, oh my God. And I actually ate it and liked it. And I do remember that. I was like, I was open-minded. Crab is like somewhat inoffensive, I guess. Where I really will not go is fish. I find it so unpalatable. I can't believe people eat fish. It's like, it's like, now funny story about tuna fish. And this has definitely come up probably on Knockback, is that I ate tuna fish out of a can until I was like in my early 20s and realized it was fish.
How is that possible?
Yeah, your Jessica Simpson moment.
Yes.
This chicken of the sea.
Like, I didn't even think it was chicken. I'm not like, that wasn't it. It was like, I just wasn't thinking about it. I was like, oh yeah, it's just like a variety of meat. And I kind of like tuna fish sandwiches. Meat. And then I literally, like, this is the way I operate, where I became aware of it one day and I was like, oh my God, that's fucking disgusting. And I've never eaten tuna fish again.
That was it.
Yep.
You just ate it with no mayo, nothing
else?
No.
Like, I mean, I would like, I'm saying like, I'm saying tuna fish out of a can as in I wouldn't eat like tuna I would never eat a tuna steak or something like that.
Right.
No. But I would just like make, a salad or whatever, like with mayonnaise and stuff. And then I don't know what, like that's like real deep seated retardism, like I was like, it was after college where I was like, wait, what? And it was just one of those things that really grossed me out. Very similar, Dig. You might remember that when I was a little kid, I wouldn't eat pizza with cheese on it.
Yeah.
And then I accidentally ate a piece of pizza with cheese on it without thinking. Like I was talking or something and I like ate. I was like 7 or 8 probably. And I was like, and I ate it. And then I think I realized I was like, oh, all right. That's like, chapter. That's fine. And that's how I started to eat. So there is a pickiness there, but I also think people overstate my pickiness because I'll eat basically any terrestrial meat, any vegetable, all sorts of things. Like I do love mayonnaise and all of that. So that doesn't creep me out. So yeah, seafood would be in one of them. The second one that I think would ameliorate a lot of problems for me is chocolate.
Oh yeah.
I don't like chocolate or sweets. I'm not into them. That's a well-known thing in my family. I like the sweetest things that I'll get in my life is like, I like drinking Pepsi and Coke, but I drink I drink a can of Pepsi a day. And I like juices like lemonade, orange juice. And then I like vanilla ice cream.
Okay.
That's it. And like vanilla shakes is like my favorite thing. If you go to like Five Guys or something like that. But so that's like where my sweets kind of eye goes. But otherwise, I'm not really into it. I'm into hardier, more sundry items like nuts and things of this nature. Like if I'm snacking, for instance, or whatever. If I'm eating a cereal, I'd probably actually more like to eat like Honey Nut Cheerios or something with a light sweetness as opposed to a Fruity Loop or a Trix, although I like those cereals too, So I just don't have a taste for sweets, and Dagan knows this and Micah knows this, but chocolate is one of those weird things where I will interact with it in certain ways and dig it. Like I was really crestfallen when they changed the EL fudge formula a couple years ago, because that was the one safe cookie I had where I was like, I actually really love this cookie. And I think it's actually that I love fudge, maybe.
You do like fudge specifically.
Yeah, because
you like the Entenmann's Rich Frosteds.
Right. But you always see these like ornate, beautiful cakes. You think about going into a diner on Long Island, right? And they have like, we've talked about this in the past. It's like, who's buying all these cakes? I have like no idea what's even doing. But there's like these beautiful cakes done by a bakery and all the rest. And I'm like, that looks so good. Like it looks so good. The chocolate and the fruit and all the compote, and so I wish that I loved those kinds of things, but I don't. And actually it was fun for our wedding. We got a wedding cake done and it was like perfect, like exactly the pocket that I like the cake, and it's so good, but I'm just not flexible in any way in those kinds of things. So I think that would be fun, and that would, oh, you don't like chocolate? I'm like, Mom, I'm 40. I've never liked chocolate in my life.
She is really terrible with that.
I've never in my life liked chocolate. Yeah. I don't know what. Actually, didn't that happen? We went to like Boy Chicks, the like Jewish deli.
It was the shrimp platter,
right? And they got like a shrimp platter or something like that. And my mom's like, "Oh, you want some shrimp or something like that?" I'm like, "What?"
Oh, it was like the shrimp salad.
Yeah, shrimp salad. Yeah, and I was like, "Come on, man! Like, what? You're my mom."
She can't retain that knowledge. It's like me with the meatloaf.
My parents do that from time to time.
Yeah, I think they do it to aggravate us.
But they usually self-correct.
See, I used to think they were I should correct myself. I used to think that she was doing it to aggravate me with the meatloaf specifically, because she's known since I was 4 and she'll still say, I don't understand. I thought you loved meatloaf. That she's punking me. But I've never done that to my kids. So I just think it's like a gap for her. It's just like she can't retain that knowledge.
Right.
It's strange.
This comes from a joke, Hoeg, if you don't know that. So when my mom and dad got divorced, like our dad would cook. This was like 92, 93. And he like would just make meatloaf over and over again. And Dagan hates meatloaf. And then but it was like, I think like maybe after the 20th one, he's like, I thought you loved meatloaf. Like never really even inquired or anything like that. The third thing that I would put on the list, and the final thing I'll say, and this is something that I actually think is vile and disgusting, but it would make my life easier, is mustard. Now, I've had and this is a infamous thing in my family. I don't think anyone would present me mustard because it's like I have.
Oh, they have.
Oh yeah, they're right. They probably have.
I remember recently at a cookout, someone put mustard on like every slider or something. And everyone was like, oh, I forgot you didn't like it.
Yeah. And first of all, and I just want to be as frank as I can be. Mustard is fucking gross. And I can't believe that this pungent, vile substance, I've had a revulsion to it my whole life. I remember the first time I tasted it. I remember it. It was at a McDonald's in Connecticut, because as we've said over and over again, and this is a true piece of Long Island lore, at McDonald's and Burger King and all these different places, they do not put mustard on their burgers. It's not a thing.
Nope.
It doesn't happen. So like if you go to get a McDonald's cheeseburger on Long Island, no mustard on it. If you go to Burger King and get a burger, no mustard on it. Go anywhere. It's not a thing. You leave
Manhattan
Long Island.
Does.
Right. You leave Long Island.
Yeah.
I don't know why this is a thing. So we grew up like this, and I had just assumed that's so when Mom and Dad got divorced and she moved to Connecticut, I went and visited her. I was in 2nd grade and I had McDonald's for the first time, and I was like spit it across the restaurant. And I remember that so well, because I was like, oh my God, that's like mustard. It's so awful. And but it is a disruptive element because it is in things. People really love it, right? Like I'm the weirdo for not liking mustard. Like people, whether they like their yellow mustard or their Dijons or whatever.
I was going to ask you if there was any mustard that you liked or that you didn't like more.
Oh, the yellow mustard is the most revolting of all of the mustards in my opinion, but it's all revolting. Like if you gave me a Grey Poupon or something, I'd be like, I would throw it like a fucking hand grenade, it's awful. But I feel like people have always been like, you don't like mustard and you don't want mustard on it. And so I understand I'm in the minority on that. And I think it would just make things easier for me. So it's not even that I'd really be interested in eating mustard. In fact, I couldn't even comprehend. When I went to Germany for Gamescom both times, so that was in 2011 and 2013 or 14 or whatever, mustard is so ubiquitous there that it's disgusting.
Oh, that's so interesting.
And I'm like, and even if you just go get it, like, it's just, and the other thing that I remember too is there would be some dirty water dogs in New York City that had mustard on them while they were cooking. So
that's weird.
Oh.
Yeah, like there would be like a pungentness to them. And I remember that really turned me off to getting those because you could just smell it. There was like because I like street meat, generally speaking, but that kind of thing, especially California street meat, because it's more like burritos and tacos and shit like that.
Could be good shit.
As opposed to like hot dogs and halal and whatever kind of shit you're getting in New York. So yeah, those are the three things that I think would just make my life easier. But I must admit that I'm totally satisfied personally with my palate. I think that I eat a wide array of foods that I enjoy, and I don't really have a desire to expand the field. Because like I like good food, but I like good food that I know. I like going and spending good money on good cocktails and good food, but I'm not really experimental. I'm not trying to go to a Michelin star restaurant and order like, you know, a series of tapas of mysterious things or whatever. I want to go get like a great steak. I want to go get like a really solid old fashioned or a great pork chop or whatever the case might be. And so I'm totally satisfied in that space. But I know a lot of other people like to expand the field and all that, and that's cool. And I think I could be more open-minded about that, but I'm old and rigid. These are the three things I think would be, these are the three things that I think would be useful for my life and others around me.
Yeah, because I'll say one of the only times I've seen you like big mad was when we ordered Buffalo Wild Wings. They are notorious for messing up orders.
They
notorious.
are bad.
They forget something every single time.
We just stopped ordering.
We actually stopped ordering because we didn't want like DoorDash to get mad at us, because it's like every time they'd forget either one of our French fries or something. But I ordered the hamburger as is with ketchup and mustard on it. And of course they put mustard on Colin's as well. And I just remember he like opened up the burger and just like threw it at the counter. And like it made this
That's
like
good comedy.
It's worse when
funny,
you're hungry.
Like, flop, but it was not funny because he's like mustard. And it's just one of the only times I've seen you like really mad about something.
Yeah, you can't get that off.
Because that's the thing. It's like, wipe it.
It's in the nooks and crannies of the burger.
Yeah, and it's so pungent.
Yeah,
you just need like, dude, like people are like, oh, there's mustard in this. You wouldn't tell. I don't think anyone's ever presented something to me where they're like, Eric's one of those people, like Eric Castro, where every once in a while, because he's like a real foodie and he gets me to experiment. He had me have octopus once and all this kind of stuff. Like, and he has that kind of influence over me. I take him very seriously, but he's like, you know, oh, there's mustard in this, but you won't taste it. And I'm like, dude, it's so clearly got mustard in this. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
You know?
No, exactly. I'm with you on that. I do like yellow mustard on a hamburger. A Wendy's junior hamburger is like my favorite thing. And they put, you know, the mustard on it. But I don't like it on a hot dog. I really don't like it in any other context. I don't want it on a pretzel. But just at like Wendy's or McDonald's getting mustard on the burger, I love it. I love it there and only there. I don't even put mustard on a burger at home though, because it's just never the same. It's never the same. I don't know what they're doing with the ratio of the ketchup to mustard. I don't know. But I can never get it right, so I only enjoy it there.
Might be a ratio thing.
Hoeg, let me kick it over to you next. Oh, Colin, I also got to mention, we might have a problem with the Jefferson this year, because I checked their menu recently. And I'm not sure if there's anything on it that either of us want this time around. The Jefferson changes their in-house restaurant is fantastic.
Yeah, let me look.
Yeah, their in-house restaurant's fantastic, but it's seasonal.
It is good.
And so they change it like spring, summer, winter, fall.
Yeah.
And right now, the offering, when I last checked it, I was like, oh no, because it was just a whole lot of shit that I did not want to eat. So that might be a problem. But Hoeg, let me kick this over to you. Is there anything that you wish you liked, whether it's aesthetically or socially, as Colin and I have experienced?
Yeah, well, between mayonnaise and mustard, you guys have killed all of my potato salads that I love so much. But that's okay. I think my answer is the primary answer that Colin gave, which is to say I'm okay with my palate, but I do wish that I liked seafood more, because so much of like the human experience is seafood dishes, right?
Yes.
Whether or not that's at a restaurant, certain locations that you might travel to, like they specialize in fish and other seafood. And I don't like any bit of seafood. I don't like crab. I don't like shrimp. I don't like lobster. I don't like fish. I can do fried clams sometimes, but like Colin and his lobster, it has to be doused with lemon. So like, I don't like any of it. And I try it every few years because what I really want is to have like the rest of the menu open up to me at these fancy restaurants and whatnot. And I can't do it. And like so many of the other stories that I've already heard here, it's the nose that speaks first, right? Like I have whatever super sensitivity to seafood smells there are. And if my wife opens up a lunch leftover that she had that had some fish in it, and it's 3 rooms away, I will wander in and be like, somebody's having fish in the house. But you could not have possibly smelled that. It's like, okay, well then I'm psychic. But I wish that I did, because there is so much of quality dining that goes into making cool fish dishes, making cool seafood dishes, and I don't get to experience them. And I do like experimenting a little bit with food. I love trying to achieve that scene in Ratatouille where he eats the 2 different flavors and he gets the explosions in his head, because I have had that experience before in certain places and certain times where I've tried something that sounds like I would never like it, but it's recommended to me by the waitstaff or whatever. And I say, actually, that's amazing. And I never would have tried it. So I do occasionally go in and say, all right, today's the day I'm going to try seafood again. And every single time so far in my life, it has not worked out. So I wish I liked it. I do not. I wish I liked it because there's so much of the menu that's devoted to it, not because I've ever found it to be attractive on its own.
Yeah, I mean, an interesting point when you talk about regionally. As a lot of people know, I listen to this barbecue podcast, How to Barbecue Right. One of their favorite places in the world, him and his wife, is to go to New Orleans. And when they just talk about the food scene and everything, and like that is, I'm really not much of a traveler, but I would really love to go to New Orleans and experience it. But it is so seafood heavy. Yeah. That is the focus while you're there. It's similar to back home, the focus on the lobster roll and the clams. I mean, the whole belly clams is like the steamers and all that. Like, we love seafood in mass, of course.
Cleveland steamers?
Not Cleveland steamers. It was just one of those things, though, that I would say to myself, like, oh, yeah, I'd love to go to New Orleans, but what the hell is Colin going to eat? You know? And it's just not going to be.
I'm used to rolling with the punches with that stuff. There's always like something for me. You have to admit that I'm not pushy about that sort of shit where it's like, I'm totally willing to go to a place where there's just one thing that I can order and I'll order it. So.
Yeah. The only thing we had to compromise on was, it was like the first time I ordered seafood at a restaurant and I had leftovers, and you were kind of like, are you going to heat those up? And it's like, I am going to heat these up because I live here. And we got to compromise on this, that I'm allowed to eat my leftovers. Like, I was like, I can throw them out, but we're throwing away $15 worth of perfectly good food because you don't want to smell fish for 10 minutes. So like, that was one of our compromises, because you were like, oh, you're going to heat that up. And it's like, I am going to heat it up. Yes. And I'm going to eat the leftovers. I don't cook fish in the house, and I don't cook it otherwise. But I gotta eat my leftover shrimp, man. Like, we can't just throw these out.
Yeah, I'm generally a hard no on cooking fish in the house, because I grew up around that and it fucking stinks. Like, and
I know, like, fish is a top like 5 food for me. I fucking love fish. I love seafood of all kinds and fish. It is a major compromise that I don't cook it in the house, but I do want to heat up my leftovers when I order a seafood dish once a month at a restaurant, because otherwise I love even the basic things, like just like the Gorton's like fish fillets. That was like a Micah staple when I lived alone for like fish sandwich and all that stuff. Like, I love that stuff. I just flat out don't make it in the house. But it is like, Rick, something I think about when it comes to like vacations of like, yeah, I'd love to go on a food tour of Louisiana, but it is so seafood focused that I'm like, you know what, Texas would be a better choice because then it's like, I'd love to do a barbecue tour of Texas, and you'd love all of that.
Yeah, that's good shit. They eat this. No one eats better than the South, man. It's like,
and Cajun's a great call out, Micah, because I love those spices. And then I would love to order your jambalaya, but if it's a shrimp based one, it's not going to work for me.
Yeah.
And so like, I do try to look for the ones that are andouille sausage or what have you, because that's going to work out better.
Definitely.
But again, opening up the menu is really my aim here. If I could get behind some seafood, that would be super helpful for trying out more stuff.
Mm-hmm.
No, absolutely. And it is. I mean, like Colin said, he generally can find something on every menu. It's rare that we would both be like, yeah, there's nothing here I want to eat. But it occasionally happens. I can't remember which restaurant it was. There was a place someone recommended to us, and I looked at the menu and I was like, there's just literally nothing on here that both of us would be 100% cool with.
Mhm.
You know, it's either everything has some sort of seafood element or everything. It was just like, yeah, this isn't going to work.
Yeah, I just have, it's funny because I've just lived in places where, especially in San Francisco and in Santa Monica, certainly, where you're just so inundated with seafood restaurants. I'm a pretty easygoing person, which I think everyone understands. Like in my general life, I like to kind of go with the flow. I don't like to really be a stick in the mud with things. So I try to be flexible with that sort of thing because I don't want to be that annoying person that doesn't like things and then says like, oh, why can't we just go here instead? It's like, no, I don't want it to be about me. So if there could be a thing where it's like, yeah, and what I found, what was it fucking called? There was a place on Ocean Avenue in Santa Monica that I used to go to a lot. It was like a complete seafood restaurant, but it was a great cocktail bar and they had like a burger. And I would totally be fine going there because it's like I can just get good cocktails and a burger. I don't care about like what else. I don't care about people eating seafood in front of me or even being in a seafood ambiance with the smells and all of that in a restaurant. I don't care. I just don't want it in my space because it sticks to things and it's gross.
Yeah, it lingers. I wonder where the Collins and the Ricks of the world stand with fish and chips, though, because that's as non-seafood as you can make seafood. I love it too, Micah.
I have tried that.
Yeah.
I'm, of course, behind the chips.
Mm-hmm.
But it really depends on how big the piece of fish is that they're giving you. So there are places that will try to impress you with the size of the fish piece. That doesn't tend to work for me.
Yeah.
That tends to be too fishy, not enough fried.
Yeah. I love like fish and chips, but I still like a nice thick breading. There's a place local to us, Rick, that does a potato chip crust on it.
That sounds good.
It is just so good, but it is. Good. It's like, I mean, you're putting Lay's chips on fish. How could this be bad?
Yeah, but I agree with Colin on a certain amount of acceptance to places that don't otherwise have a lot for you. The chain Mitchell's Fish Market is actually one of my favorite places to meet clients because it is fairly professional even for a chain. And it smells like fish. Of course it does, but they have a nice, what I consider clean, fresh tasting burger in a restaurant. And I will get the burger at the Mitchell's Fish Market. I will have that meeting with the clients and I will be okay with it. Yeah, you don't need a lot on the menu to work for me, even if I don't like 90% of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was just going to say there was that new restaurant, Latitude Seafood Company. You know, it's in the name. But they have like 2 or 3 non-seafood dishes. So it's like there was something that you liked.
Yeah. Again, I'm because it's always going to be something like a steak or a burger. It's something that's so palatable for me that it's like, yeah, I'm totally fine defaulting to that. But yeah, and you know, I guess a postscript just quickly, even though it moved on for me, I would also throw wine out there. Just because white wine I think white wine's good. Champagne is fine. Same. I don't really care about champagne, but champagne.
Champagne.
But
champimple.
But red wine, I find red wine revolting personally, and that bothers the shit out of me actually more than anything. Because
really, I love it.
Yeah, because especially in San Francisco, it would be a very common weekend event. Would be to rent a car, or people would drive. You get designated drivers, but often there's like car services and stuff. Then they would just bring you to the wineries in Napa and in Sonoma, and you just spend the day and you go drink and hang out and go to a nice restaurant, and then you find yourself back in the city at night. And so that was a common thing people used to do, and I used to go up there a lot. And then my ex actually moved to Napa, and so I was up there a lot, and it's so wine heavy. Obviously, it's wine country. It's like our endemic national wine area.
Yeah.
Well, we grow wine on Long Island. We grow wine in other places, but that's really where it's known, of course. And I would just be so jealous because there were great cocktail bars, great places to eat, no complaints, right? But it's all about the wine and the complementing the meat with the wine. And this wine really goes well. And I was just like, I don't get how people like this red wine. And I would be fine with white wine, but white wine's kind of like the bitch wine, right? Like Mendeley.
No.
Yeah, yes. I mean,
No, don't put your but just eat, just drink it and enjoy it. I mean,
you'd be like at a tasting and no one would want to get white wine. Like everyone would want to get red wine.
Red's like the
they just want to look
enthusiast.
cool.
Right. And it's like, it was just not, and there would be, if you would go to these wineries, they would have like maybe a couple of white wines, but they would have like 11 red wines, right? Like it was definitely like a thing. And like the old ladies would drink white wine and whatever. And like, and that's cool. I'm totally fine with that. Cause I think white wine is cool. What I'm saying is that socially it's very difficult to want to be like, you want to get a bottle of Riesling, bro? So
Riesling's good.
I mean, if we're talking about wine in general, it's effeminate, anyways. And if a man was like, "Whoa, you want some Chardonnay?" I'd be like, "Yeah, what? Am I pegging you later?" Like, I mean, really. So, if you're not ordering a hard cider or a bourbon on the rocks, I'm a little sus, anyways. But I agree with you because I love cooking with red wine. The smell of red wine in a pot roast or some braised short ribs is maybe like one of my favorite smells in the whole world. It just fills the whole house and it's just so distinct. The beef broth, red wine, thyme and garlic, and like that red wine layer of flavor is delicious with beef when you cook with it. But every single time I will try a little sip. Like I'll pour the red wine into the recipe and I'll like, and a sip. And every single time I'm just like, I hate it. I fucking hate it. And I do like white wine. I find white wine to be like crisp, refreshing. I even like the ones that are a little more dry, like my favorite's Pinot Grigio. I love that. But red wine, man, like it is delicious to cook with. A red wine sauce on something, like, oh my God. But to drink it, I'm just like, you people are lying. I think you're lying.
I love it.
You like it. I think you're just tipping it back to look cool. You want to be vampires or something.
You're just too young, I think. You gotta like it. It's
Still?
like I found it. Yeah, I found it. I think I found red wine like in the last 10 years. So I was definitely in my 40s, and I hated it before that. You know what it reminded me of? As a Catholic? It reminded me of church.
Yeah,
Sure.
My entire life. And then we have really good vineyards out here in Bucks County, and that might have been the thing. Like our local wines, all the way to the Finger Lakes, they're super good.
Oh,
But yes, something turned. Not the Fingered Lakes. That's a place on Long Island.
Oh,
The Finger Lake.
oh.
Yeah, something happened. A little light bulb went off, and I was like, "Oh, no, I could do." I might have a problem with red wine. I could have a problem with it if I allowed myself. It's that good.
It's probably its own topic, but I think alcohol and drinking in general is one of those things where I don't drink for any number of reasons, and I'm always kind of conscious of that particular status at like a closing dinner. When you close a deal,
sure, yeah,
or even at a mixer with
any kind of work
clients.
function.
And so it is one of those areas where, like, maybe I wish I had more of an inkling or at least a go-to beverage that would maybe not get the question asked. Like, it's not really a problem. I don't really want to drink, but in general, it is a flag that you get a conversation started with that I'm frankly sick of. And so that might be nice. But on Micah's side of things, I do love a red wine reduction. I love it.
It's good stuff.
So good.
Agreed.
And I'm with you on the not drinking, Rick, 'cause I don't drink for health reasons strictly. Like I do, I like wine. I like a margarita now and then, but because of my health issues, it's not worth the pain afterwards.
Yeah.
So it's just, the juice ain't worth the squeeze, as they say. So it's like, I'm with you though, because can be awkward when you're like, no, thank you. And people are like, why? And it's like, how about just no, thank you. And you leave it at that, How about we accept just not following up?
Well, I think questions. With clients and like opposing counsel, they think you're trying to pull a trick. Like what is it about this dinner that you need to be so
That's interesting.
sober for?
You want to be alert. Get like, everyone else a little more delirious.
Just don't want anything. I'm not trying to pull anything on you, opposing counsel.
I'll take a Tylenol PM right now. All right, we're all going to be on the same level. Dagan, let's pass it over to you. Aside from meatloaf, what do you wish that you loved? Which I will say, usually on Dagan's birthday, I'll text him and say, like, I'm making you a birthday meatloaf. When are you coming over?
He loves that.
So even from afar, even from only being in Dagon's life a few years, even I pester him about the meatloaf.
And in all fairness, there's something that just defies even reason of why I hate meatloaf so much. Because ultimately, even though I got so aggravated at this, my mom would say, it's like meatballs. You love meatballs. And like, I used to hate that as a kid, but it kind of is like meatballs. Like, it's just, again, it just comes down to that big loaf lump of meat shape. I think it's this, as a visual person, it's the aesthetic.
Oh, so if someone made like mini meatloaves, if someone made like the little mini ones,
that would be less offensive.
Yeah.
That would be less offensive for sure. But I don't want to bore you guys to death with meatloaf. I mean, I am a very adventurous eater. I've always been the same as a kid. Now, I don't love everything, but I will try nearly anything. I've always had that spirit with eating. I don't know if I fancy myself as a foodie because I feel like that's like a millennial thing, but I love trying things. Now, if I'm super hungry, I definitely take a page out of your guys' book. Like I'm going for the burger, going for the good steak. I'm going to the nice Italian joint for like a good bowl of pasta.
Oh, yeah.
But sometimes like one of our favorite restaurants is a really experimental tapas place. The chef is an award-winning guy. He trained in New York. He's amazingly like creative and experimental. And I think he's got a James Beard Award. So like he's one of and we love his spot and it's hard to get in. And sometimes it doesn't always like he did a foie gras slider and I had never tried it. And I thought that was disgusting, but I tried it, so I'm on board for trying stuff. There's one food. I don't know if I've ever mentioned this on any of the shows that I have never tried that I refuse to try. And again, it's kind of one of those things that's becoming silly now, but I think I'm going to stick to my guns and ride this out for life. And that's cottage cheese. I will not eat it.
Oh, yeah.
I've never tried it.
Gross.
That's a weird texture.
The texture, the look of it could be the most, in all fairness, could be the most delicious thing in the world because I did a very similar thing with a very similar thing in rice pudding. And it wasn't until I moved to Philly where rice pudding became this thing. That Philly's known for cheesesteaks and scrapple and other things, but rice pudding is another Philly institution. And I finally tried it and I was like, oh my God. It was like, what have I been missing all my life? This stuff is amazing. Because it just sounds like rice and pudding. It's not a thing that should go together. So cottage cheese could definitely play out the same way if I allowed it, but I'm going to ride it out with the cottage cheese. I have two things for this, Micah. Cottage cheese is my runner-up, but there's two things I just don't really understand. It's not that I don't like them. It's just that I don't understand the enthusiasm. The first one just being ice cream in general.
Oh my God.
It's a very weird thing. I've always had, I like it fine. It's totally fine. But the excitement and the joy and the jubilance when somebody talks about ice, whether it's an ice cream cone, soft serve, doesn't matter. Ice cream sundae. It's like, all right, like calm down.
Yeah,
like,
I
don't
agree.
understand.
I agree.
I just can't get on board with the excitement and I feel like I'm missing out. It's like, we're going out for ice cream. It's like, oh my God, ice cream party. It's like, oh, all right.
Yeah,
That's cool.
It's so funny you say that, Dig. I've been observing that because there's the ice cream man comes through my neighborhood.
Yeah.
And like the kids, like they like are, these kids will be running down the street like full, like, wait. Like they're so excited for the ice cream.
So old school.
And I'm like, I don't know, man. Like I never got excited. It's good.
It's fine.
Yeah.
I'm happy too.
Yeah, agree.
Here's my feeling. It's very pleasant.
I used to love getting it at Ground Round in the baseball. Mike and I were talking about this. We get the baseball hat ice creams and
the sliders.
Yeah, right. And you'd collect them.
Love it.
Yeah.
Well, and that's because Ground Round is apparently trying to make a comeback.
They're coming back.
And they've opened a location in, I think, Shrewsbury. And I was like, holy shit, dog. Like, if Ground Round comes back,
it's coming back.
This is all the world needs. All that it needs.
Yeah.
Like, this is that guy about imagine whatever the fuck he said. And it's like, imagine if Ground Round came back and how great that would be.
Talking about John Lennon?
Yeah, that's the one.
Oh.
Yeah. Imagine there's no Ground Round. And he's like, how shitty would that be?
Yeah.
And then he's like, imagine if it came back. And I'm like, exactly, Mr. Lennon, exactly.
I was so happy to hear that it's making a comeback. Because it seems like kind of the wrong time. Like, the chain restaurants seem like they're struggling.
Oh yeah, Hooters is out. Like Hooters. They're going down for
Applebee's
good.
are all closing down. Chili's.
Somewhere there's a food court that just has a ground round of Friendlies and a Bill Knapp.
Yeah.
Friendlies is the other one.
Dude, big controversy because Friendlies got rid of the iconic watermelon sherbet roll,
Oh,
and
I
they've
remember
replaced
that.
it with a sherbet cake, and people are very
not having
upset. The watermelon roll is maybe one of my all-time favorite desserts because I love sherbet, but
It's
I was like, I
iconic.
can't believe they did
I love
this.
Friendlies.
They have to cut costs. Thing was, so I have to stay in the black. We lost all of our Friendly. They're all gone.
Yeah, ours too. It sucks. There's like only a select few. I personally love Friendlies.
Me too.
I loved
Yeah.
it. But you know,
that was the one spot where I would get the most excited for ice cream. I wasn't getting over the top and going out of my mind bonkers like people get for ice cream, but that was raising the pulse for ice cream the most. Right.
That's just because though on the children's menu they still call it the happy ending sundae, and I'm like, please God, change it.
They gotta stop.
Like they still call it
Please
that.
stop.
And I'm like, especially after everything that happened with Mr. Kraft of the Patriots, and I'm like, bro, like this is like we're in Massachusetts, like everybody knows about this. Like you can't say this.
I don't
but
know.
Friendly's
though.
refuses to drop it.
I like it because what came first, the happy ending at the massage parlor or the happy ending at Friendly's? Right? We have to
I'm gonna guess the massage parlor.
If that's true, they gotta drop.
I had to guess.
If that's
what
true,
came
they have to
first.
stop. That's where we draw the line. If that came, you're probably right. I think that probably came first. Oh, that's hilarious. The only other one I have, and I won't stay on this long, is I don't understand, and I really appreciate the opportunity to talk about this. Let's talk about chicken for a minute. It's one of my favorite things.
Oh yeah,
Oh my
It's
God.
a lot of everybody's favorites,
the best.
right?
Yeah.
I love a chicken. I love a fried chicken. Give me a roast chicken. Give me any kind of chicken.
Right.
But in this world where dark meat exists, how do you go for the light meat? In this world where you could have a succulent chicken thigh,
Right.
why would you go for the breast?
Right. I keep speaking on it.
It's just
This pleases him.
it's unfathomable to me.
The dark meat is so much better.
It's so much better.
It's so funny.
Why can't we just breed the chicken to be all dark?
Just like the 8 legs. You know, like it's like a biblical fucking monster.
Biblically accurate chicken.
Yeah.
We are though. So we've reached a point where they have made the chickens grow. So you may have heard this if you shop at Costco specifically about woody chicken. We have reached a point where chickens reach slaughtering like age at like 8 weeks old now. This is so rapid compared to how chickens used to be farmed. However, if you've shopped at Costco specifically, you may have heard of this woody chicken breast. And it is similar to the idea of like woody asparagus, where it is fibrous.
Yes.
And we're talking, and the chicken breast appears to be normal. And then when you cook it, it'll actually have almost a crunch to it. It'll appear to be normal chicken breast.
What?
And this is becoming a major problem because they have ramped up farming to such a degree that like you're literally made, the chicken is the size it would be at, several more weeks along. And it has completely changed its texture. And so dark meat, though, doesn't seem to be affected by this. And it's I don't know if it's just because of the amount of fat that's in it or what.
Magic.
But this is specific to chicken breast only. And I find it very funny only because I'm seeing more and more recipes online for dark meat chicken because white meat is losing popularity because for how expensive it is. It's a gamble now.
Right.
It is a gamble on if you're going to get the crunchy chicken breasts or not.
Holy shit. This is insane.
And I don't know, they long term, if people stop buying chicken breast, you have to imagine that they might go backwards a little bit and say, okay, maybe we got to fatten up the chickens over 10 weeks instead of 8, because it is a problem.
That's criminal.
It's something that I just actively don't buy anymore because it happened to us once at Publix. And I was like, never again.
Wow.
Because
it was like Publix too.
It was like, oh my God, the chicken looks perfectly normal and you bite into it. And it had this subtle crunch to it. And it's like, oh, that shouldn't crunch.
That's so
It should not crunch.
Yeah, the factory farming thing is insane. But yeah, that you say this with things like raising ducks and geese for foie gras and all that kind of thing. But like it's just the factory farming in general and the volume and all that kind of thing. I think, yeah, I mean, and also, you know, you got to understand with the white meat and like you're saying, Micah, being sought after, like the Chick-fil-A's of the world need it for their nuggets and their tenders, right?
Because they do it right. It's so good.
Right. And they do it right. That's true. And other places, you know, but yeah, something about, I like Colin's idea of just kind of breeding this like ball of chicken thighs that just kind of rolls around the pasture.
It'll all be
Limbo 2.
It'll be like lab meat soon enough, you know?
Oh, it's so sad to think of. And like we go to our local farm, one of the local farms out here, Hirschberger's, to get like locally raised meat, and it's fucking expensive. I mean, a chicken is like 4 times the price of a supermarket. It's not sustainable for like people with normal incomes. You know, we try and then it's like, all right, we'll do it every month, I guess. We can't do this every week. So then we're kind of slumming it 3 weeks out of the year with the supermarket stuff, like a lot of people have to do, right? Michael, one thing I did forget to tell you, and I meant to open with this coming back to the salad dressing thing, because I could kind of relate. Now, I like salad dressing, but I get very bored with it. Been eating the same, you think about it, right? You've generally been eating the same salad dressings, in my case, for 51 years. So
yeah, where's the innovation on salad dressing?
I think the last one was like a raspberry vinaigrette, and it's been 30
Raspberry
years.
vinaigrette took over when I was a child. I remember when my grandma discovered it, and she would be like, I have raspberry vinaigrette. Like for Sunday dinner, she'd be like really excited to tell my mom, like, and I got a raspberry vinaigrette. Like,
that was it.
I remember distinctly when raspberry vinaigrette became a fucking thing.
Isn't that funny? Yeah, because you would have been little. It's 90s, right? So it's so interesting. But I'll tell you something. This could be a life changer for you, and I think it's worth the risk for me. There's a place. I found a salad dressing. Make a long story short, about 2 years ago. That is, I'm just going to say it. It's sublime. It's the only salad dressing I ever want to eat for the rest of my life. Now, I'm going to tell you what it is, but don't judge it because it doesn't impart the flavors that you think it's going to impart. It's called, I'm afraid to tell you because I just don't want you to get
put off. Just say it.
It's a cucumber mint vinaigrette. No. Now, it doesn't, before you say anything, it doesn't taste like either one of those flavors.
I don't believe you.
This dressing is nothing short of absolutely delightful. It's delightful. Now, you have to get it. Shout out to the Well-Dressed Olive. It's a little specialty homemade olive oil and dressing shop in Stone Harbor, New Jersey. It's $22 a bottle. It's a tiny bottle. It's little. It's where I never spent better money in my entire life. And I'm going to buy you a bottle. I'm going to go out on a limb. And I'm going to buy you a bottle of this cucumber mint vinaigrette. And I think it's going to change your life. That's all. That's what I'm saying. I think this is going to change your whole perspective. I think you're going to love soggy lettuce as a result of falling in love with this dressing. I have never, it totally made me forget about Thousand Island and Italian and raspberry vinaigrette and whatever other concoctions they try to come up with. You got to go with the cucumber mint vinaigrette. And it's very special. I don't even look at the ingredients. Although I know it's homemade. I know it's one of those things where there's only a few things in there. It's nice. But it doesn't taste like it doesn't taste like you think it's going to taste. It's magical. That's what I'm trying to tell you. And we're going to try this out. I'd consider it.
I'd consider. I did used to shout out again to Friendly's. They used to have the Oriental chicken salad, and it had this, I don't know, Asian-inspired dressing.
Okay.
I would always get it on the side, though, and I would just dip things in it, you know? But I liked that. I still did not like the vibe of putting it all over the salad, though. And people are going to say, but what about the hot lettuce? I know. It doesn't make sense to me either, because I love hot lettuce on a grinder, all right? And that's wet as shit. But I don't know. There's something different about the salad dressing. But I would consider trying it.
I'm going to get it for you guys. And I just want you to try one. If not, you re-gift it. It's a beautiful little gift for somebody.
I re-gift an open bottle of dressing?
You can. People would love it. People would anything they could get of this. They would, and also friendly while we're addressing the naming with the happy ending. Maybe we go with Asian chicken salad rather than Oriental.
Well, yeah, they took it off the menu altogether. So
okay, good.
They just got rid of it at some point. It was a fantastic salad, though. It had the little mandarin orange pieces in it. I believe there was chicken involved. It was a fantastic salad. One of the best restaurant salads. Because you guys, I'm sure, remember when the taco bowl became a thing.
Yes.
And everyone's pretending like eating a tortilla the size of your fucking wingspan was a healthy choice.
I love it.
You know, it's like, yeah. You, sure, eat the whole fucking thing. And that was a great choice. Man, restaurant salads, it's a whole topic in itself.
I love it. And yeah, that whole tortilla taco salad was just like like how can we develop a new vehicle for cheddar cheese? Just dumping cheddar cheese on something. It's amazing. It's so Midwestern. It's so clever. It's very American. I'm proud of that. Even as an East Coaster, I'm very proud of that. Okay, Hoeg, I said it.
There you go.
Yeah, so that's it for me. Those are my two big food things. It's the chicken and the ice cream. It's I don't know. I wish I could embrace. Don't get me wrong, a chicken breast, fine. I'm not going to get excited about it though. It's kind of dry. I'd rather have the drumstick or the wing or the thigh.
The drumstick, the worst.
You think?
I can't stand a drumstick, I'm just not a big fan.
Drumstick is kind of third. That's kind of in third place. If I'm not getting the thigh, I'm not getting the wing, then I'll go to the drum, But yeah, the chicken breast I don't hate. And I don't hate ice cream. I like ice cream as much as the next guy. But the next guy loves fucking ice cream.
Yeah, apparently you don't like it as much as the next guy.
I really don't. And then Philly's got its water ice, which is what we used to call Italian ice.
Oh, I love Italian ice.
Italian ice is better. Italian ice has how I explain the difference between Italian ice and water ice? It's like hard packed ice cream compared to soft serve. The Italian ice just has better body. It's not soft, right? You gotta slide into it. You gotta chunk into it with your spoon. Water ice you just eat right out of the cup because it's soft, right? It's like a melting Italian ice essentially. Philadelphians are gonna get really mad at me for saying that, but that's basically the difference is that consistency, right? Yeah, that's it. Those are my food takes. I mean, the other thing is I never really knew in researching your topic, Micah. I knew foie gras was fattening the goose or the duck, so their liver was basically huge.
Yes,
and then they make it into a pate. But I never knew. I thought they were just fed as much as they want to eat, like they just gorged themselves. But apparently you put a tube down their throat and force feed them.
They're force fed.
Which is fucked. It's like I would never try that again.
There are apparently brands that do. There is I think one brand that came out that they do just kind of like encourage them to eat, but not force feed. And so there is maybe like one ethical in quotes foie gras on the market,
right? Because
they do just present the chickens with a lot of food and just hope that they eat it.
That's what I always thought it was, and I was like, well, it's their choice. They want to they want to just kind of gorge themselves.
If you put a bowl of chips in front of me, I'll do the same thing. All right,
yeah, totally. You don't have to ask me twice.
Where do you guys stand on it, foie gras? Have you tried it?
I haven't tried it.
Do you like it? I didn't like it.
I've never tried it.
It's very gamey.
I don't think I've ever tried it. However, isn't pate a component in beef Wellington? Because we did have at the wedding the mini beef Wellingtons. I think liver is part of that, like the paste with the mushrooms and all that. But I've never tried pate like on a cracker or anything. Not really interested. I don't really like dips. If we're gonna add another thing, I don't really like dips that much. And people at a party be like, "Did you try the dip? The buffalo chicken dip? The taco shit dip? Did you try the dip? I put my underwear in it." It's like, I didn't try the dip. I don't want it.
No kind of dip.
No, just let me eat my dry chips in peace. Why can't you people have some dry food? Everything's got to be soggy. Everything's got to be moist.
What about salsa? You like a nice salsa with your tortillas?
I like salsa.
Okay,
it's fine.
Yeah, salsa's good.
It's fine. So I like salsa. Yeah, salsa's fine. But
Salsas are
that's
great, and they can be really weird flavors.
Yeah, you
yeah,
can really
yeah,
have fun
yeah,
with
yeah.
that.
I don't want that. Just give me the normal salsa.
No
I don't want the
peach?
mango
Yeah, no-
peach
Okay.
Yeah,
salsa.
no,
no,
none of that. No.
Yeah, the farmer's market has fantastic salsas of all types.
Is that the problem though? Have you guys just nailed something here?
Mm.
Trying to make savory things sweet. Like salsa used to be savory, and then they did peach and mango and every plum and all those other kind of things. Maybe
Cherry
that's what
is
we're
my
going
go-to
wrong.
for salsa, but that might be a Michigan thing.
Okay, or making savory sweet things savory, like bacon ice cream. Right? Where do you guys stand on that? Just kind of like flipping the script on food. Are you in favor of that generally?
I mean, generally speaking, I like sweet and salty. It's like my favorite combo, but I'm talking about like potato chips and chocolate, pretzels and chocolate. I don't really want most things to be like, I've got a fusion here of flavors. I don't really want that, generally speaking.
I view it as high risk, high reward.
Okay.
The ratatouille food I was talking about earlier was a duck confit with honey raisin as its baseline for flatbread.
Okay.
So it's a sweet, savory combination that was fantastic. But even ordering it, I didn't think it would work. And then you get surprised, and that's exciting.
See, that is exciting. I like the high risk, high reward thing. But I just don't want that when I'm super hungry. I know myself.
Yes.
Like if I'm hungry and I just want a meal, I want to satiate my appetite. I'm just going for what I
imagine
know.
that's why Colin threw the one hamburger down on that.
Yeah.
Because when you're really hungry and it's full of mustard, you're just very upset.
that is good
heartbreaking.
context. Because I was so hungry probably at that point.
That's
No, we
heartbreaking.
weren't. And it's also, this was literally probably the 6th time. We had that thing of if they mess this up 10 more times, I'm not going to come here anymore. We actually did hit that point. We stopped going there.
Oh, did you really?
We haven't ordered from there in over a year.
Yeah,
possibly.
it's just I really like Buffalo Wild Wings in premise is really good, and it's just never right. The one I used to go to in San Francisco was always really disgusting. It was run by like 16-year-olds. It was fucking ridiculous. Yeah. I remember clear as day going in there. I've said this before, but like going in there at like noon, because I think I had a dentist appointment. It was in like the same mall, and I went to get the garlic hot sauce that they have, which is like so fucking good. And then you can buy it by the bottle. And I used to just dip fries in it. And I went in and I'm like, oh, I got to use the bathroom. And I went in and the bathroom was like so gross, like as if it was like 3 a.m. or something. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck? Did you guys never even clean the bathroom? It's just always been like this. And it's too bad because it's pretty good food. It's just, good bar, Chili's like food or whatever, but it's always just disgusting and it's always ill run
by children.
Yeah. So it's like, fuck this place.
Ours is too.
Yeah. It's like, fuck this place. I don't need to, it's not that good. And there's a Wingstop that just opened near us. And I used to love Wingstop when I lived in San Francisco. I probably haven't had it in 10 years and it's supposed to be, our Wingstop's supposed to suck. So like, we're waiting for it to like all,
the reviews are terrible.
We're waiting for it to all, because that place is expensive. That place was expensive even before inflation. So I can only imagine what it costs now. But
yeah, they're still only at 2.5 stars.
Wow.
It's very,
generally
very bad.
It's been my sort of strategy to avoid the big chain restaurants. I'm not talking about the restaurants that have 2 or 3 locations. I'm talking about like the national chain restaurants, the TGI Fridays of the world. You're just generally, I find that the food is very middle of the road, but also the service is probably going to be bad. I hate to say that. It's one of those places where if you get good service, you're shocked, right? That shouldn't be the case. Eating out is expensive, right? Even at a place like that. So I try to, and then there's the whole dynamic of supporting the independent mom and pop. I kind of dig that, I kind of want to have a part of that for, I think I'm also a hypocrite in some sense because I like a chain. I like Wendy's, right?
Oh, who doesn't?
I love Wendy's. Wendy's made best burger.
Yeah, Wendy's is a really good burger. That I used to go to a Wendy's in Santa Monica. It was fucking trash, and I still went there because I was like, I want a Wendy's burger so bad.
I don't know any trash Wendy's. They're all pretty good and we have a bunch here for some reason. No more Burger Kings left. They're all gone.
Yeah, Burger King's, I think they're trying, but they're fading. Like we always say that there's a main street called Hull Street in our area. That's like it's got like malls and everything off of it. It's just like where everyone kind of branches off to their various things. And so you can see how popular places are as you drive down it. And it's just like Chick-fil-A is slammed like constantly all the time.
Yes.
But then you drive by our McDonald's, which is as I've said ad nauseum, is like the best McDonald's ever, and everyone knows it. So like that place is constantly like, if you want the pristine McDonald's experience, you go to that McDonald's.
I love that.
And that place is always popping off. And then you have the Wendy's always seems not popular. The Burger King doesn't seem like anyone gives a shit. The Hardee's, no one seems to give a shit, which is Carl's Jr. obviously out west and way more popular.
You guys have Culver's?
I'm sorry, Culver's?
You guys have Culver's?
No, we don't.
No.
We don't. That's
No.
one that we're missing. Like they're starting to bring some in. Like we got a Raising Cane's.
That's getting big.
We got the Wingstop. We have like a bunch of various things that are starting to cut. Five Guys. We have a bunch of Five Guys and all that stuff that's here. But like there's certain things that we don't have that I would like. I really like I don't know how far east it's come, but the chain The Habit. Have you guys ever heard of that? The Habit. It's like a burger chain. It's really, really good. I would love for them to get out here and a few others, but yeah, generally speaking, like, and now they're opening like second versions of everything. Because it's so fucking crowded here for some reason. Again, I have no idea why everyone's moving here. I
got crowded there fast.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm part of the problem. I'm a total
thing.
carpetbagger, so it's like I'm just like one of many people. But it's like now we're getting like a second Chipotle, a second McDonald's, a second Panera, second Starbucks, or a third Starbucks.
Sixth Starbucks. Oh my God. No, dude, there are probably 5 Starbucks within 15 minutes.
Oh, I believe it.
It just 15 minutes of each other. Like you just drive down this one road for 15 minutes and you can go to Starbucks 5 times.
People have to have it.
It is crazy.
They have to have it. They just have to. I have 2 addicts in my very family. They just have to have Starbucks. It's a disease. Starbucks is fine. Like I think their coffee is actually pretty good, but it's a little dark for me. I like my coffee the opposite of as I like my chicken, as it turns out. Ironic. But yeah, Starbucks is it's so crazy to see that kind of take over, you know. And God bless the mom and pops, because there's still plenty of those coffee places too. But Starbucks just always finds a way, and people always find a way to patronize it, which is interesting. Hoeg, you got to tell me just for a minute. You got to tell me about Culver's. I was just looking it up. Based in Wisconsin, cheese curds, very middle of the country, but also the butter burger. What's going on with this thing?
Oh, it's just a burger. I mean, like that's the name of their burger. It has, I think, a more buttery bun, but they're fantastic burgers. They actually have nice little kind of fast food dinners. Cheese curds are excellent. Culver's is my go-to. They aren't around enough. They aren't close enough, generally speaking. Like from my house, we have access to almost everything, but the Culver's is 30 minutes away instead of 10. That kind of thing. Okay. So I love it, and I have seen it expand. I knew it from when we would go through Illinois.
Okay.
And then it came into Southeast Michigan. I didn't know whether it had made it out to Pennsylvania and Virginia or not.
No,
but I know it
looks nice.
Yeah, it's a nice place. And you do get lines, not quite like the Chick-fil-A, but they have kind of procedures in place for, we've got 30 cars coming through and here's how you're going to do your parking spots, and we're going to send people out and have a more organized structure than maybe a McDonald's that gets overwhelmed.
Okay.
And so I really like it. I recommend it. It's got a great burger, just a really nice fast food restaurant. But if it's not available, I don't want to oversell it. So it's just fine. Don't worry.
Yeah, it looks cool. I like the visual identity. It's very clean with the white and the blue. It's very different than the fast food that we have here. From all appearances. Who knows? It might make its way out here.
I think it's growing in successfulness, but I don't know.
Interesting. I never heard of it. Yeah, that's kind of cool. Well, Micah, what do you think? This was your topic. Are you satisfied?
Oh, absolutely. We went on the required number of tangents required for this to be a successful topic.
Tangent quota hit. Perfect. My friends, it was a meaty 2 topics. We'll save the other one for another time. We were just talking about that. Let's just circle the bases. Go around. Say goodbye. Going into the weekend, people get really aggravated when we say that because they're listening to this on a Monday, but that's what we do.
Wasn't that a great weekend, everybody?
They're so mad right now. And I kind of understand it, but we can't stop We just have to have this genuine conversation. And we're kind of throwing jabs a little bit. Let's barb the audience a little bit. I think it's fun. A little playful poking and prodding. Mike, I'll start with you. Heading into the weekend, goodbyes and all that good stuff.
Yeah, goodbye. I do want to report, because I got Rick and Dagan here, that the smell at BJ's is improved.
Oh my.
Okay, because here's the thing. After I sent that email to corporate, I also wrote a Google review. I gave them 4 stars. Said the store is well stocked and clean, but smells awful. That review got many likes. Many likes. None of my reviews for local businesses ever get likes. This one did. So other people agreed. Colin and I went to BJ's last week. Was it last week or this week? And the
last
smell,
week I want to say.
Yeah, it's not 100% gone, but it is way better. Way better. So they definitely cleaned whatever thing in the back room needed to be cleaned. And I feel comfortable continuing to shop there.
Wow. So it's not fully gone, but it's abated largely. It's still
there is a lingering sour smell.
Okay.
But the garbage smell is gone. So
where did you review it? On Google?
On Google, yeah. On Google reviews, I gave it 4 stars. I just said the store smells awful.
Wow.
I said it's a clean store. The employees are friendly, but this store I said visibly clean, but I was like, the store smells awful. And it got a bunch of likes. So I was like, people agree.
Yeah, they knew.
And yeah, so between the couple weeks that I hadn't gone after I sent that email to corporate that we read live on the show, breaking news, they seemingly fixed the issue. Now, if the smell comes back, I'm just going to email corporate again.
That's going to
But we're going to see. I'm going to go back probably next week. And, we're going to see if the smell ever returns. Yeah. But yeah, the saga of the smelly BJ's is potentially over.
Wow. It's very promising, especially with the advent of the heat that is still moving in the right direction.
Exactly.
Very good. Very nice. And you haven't heard back from them, no other communications with them via email or any other?
No, they did not follow, because Publix followed up with me when I asked if they could get more small carts, and they gave me some bullshit that they can't get more small carts, like Wegmans has them. So
what's a small cart? Like a kiddie cart?
No, like
a short cart.
Sure. Yeah, the shallow ones.
Because we're only shopping for 2 people. I don't need this big ass cart. And there's not enough room. The store is so busy. There's so many people. There's not enough room for all these carts. The traffic. The little cart, I can navigate. I'm like a motorcycle, right? And I can navigate through all the soccer moms buying 20 oranges. I don't need all this shit. I'm shopping for 2 people. Anyways, they can't get more small carts.
It's not too shallow. I feel really weird with that thing.
I mean, I'm just not buying that much. If I need a case of water, I need a big cart. But I look ridiculous with the big cart, and it's only a quarter full. Because I shop twice a week for us, and it's just this looks stupid. I look like a kid got sent to the store.
Too much for the handbasket, but not enough to justify the big cart.
Yeah, never the handbasket, because you got the meats in there, and the meats go on the bottom shelf, So it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing.
Yeah. I never thought about that. Yeah, the supermarket I frequent has a lot of those little ones. I feel like they're replacing the big ones now that you mention it.
Yeah, Wegmans has a fleet of little carts. You can always get a little cart at Wegmans. Always. And they're excellent. Micah. They have a back shelf. For the Wegmans carts, 2 small shelves and then a back shelf. Excellent. Top tier cart design. Publix, they're down to 3 little carts, and they're like, we can't get more. And I'm like, bullshit. But they just want you to buy more,
People steal them like bubbles from Trailer Park Boys. Right? They definitely remember back in the old days. I don't know if you guys know this because you're not old enough, but in the 70s and into the 80s, they had things like strategic corrals or fences set up around strip malls and supermarkets where you could not remove the shopping cart from the premises.
Right. The wheels would lock.
I remember that.
Strategic islands, and the way the geography was set up was that you can't leave with this thing. You'd have to put it in the back of your pickup truck. In which case people did, and you know what I mean? But it would have taken a lot of work. Right. The deterrent was there. You probably weren't going to get one. Now it's just you could just run off with it. And people do, I guess.
Apparently so.
I don't know. I like it though, Micah. Thank you for filling us in. I forgot all about that. And I like BJ's as a box store. They're probably the they're probably the best for me. So I like hearing that. It's they're on the up and up. What else is going on going into the weekend? What plans do you guys have?
No plans really. I was hoping to smoke some meats this weekend, but the weather's looking dicey, so
Yeah,
that's kind of off the table.
supposed to rain.
Exactly. So try again next weekend, I guess. There's a recipe for a salt and pepper rib that I've been dying to try, but I just got to keep punting it to the next week.
That sounds good. What we talked about the salads with the macaroni salad, coleslaw, and all that kind of stuff. What are you going with aside to all these brilliant grilled meats that you do?
Oh, I mean, usually I make my mac and cheese. I love mac and cheese. Yeah. Or, and Colin loves all vegetables. So, I mean, that makes it really easy. But I mean, I love kale, like braised kale. It just becomes out really good. As an alternative to collards, they just cook faster. Mm-hmm. So I like braised kale. I mean, I love cornbread. Colin likes it, but I love cornbread. So that gets thrown in occasionally.
You make it homemade, huh? Cornbread?
I don't. I prefer the Krusteaz brand honey cornbread mix. My dad makes an excellent homemade cornbread. It's one of those things, though, that if I'm being honest, I think you could put the best homemade cornbread up against the Krusteaz brand mix, and it's very, very good. There are some things like that. I'm like, this is a justifiable shortcut because it is excellent. Like it's not Jiffy cornbread mix. This is like top tier cornbread mix. I think it's really good.
Man, Michigan's taking strays here.
I like Jiffy, but if you're comparing it to homemade, it's definitely one rung below on the ladder, but that Krusteaz brand, they're right up there with homemade.
Okay. All right. Krusteaz and Jiffy, not two. Really, they need to work on both of those names.
Fun fact, Jiffy was a client at one point. Jiffy's actually a brand. The company that makes Jiffy was a client.
Okay. Based in Michigan or somewhere?
Chelsea, Michigan. Yep.
Wow. That's interesting. Look at that. Well, Hoeg, I'll stay with you. Going into the weekend, it was good having you on the show. What's going on?
Thanks. What is going on this weekend? Well, I have an update on the test situation. I was able to chat with my daughter real quickly, and she is satisfied with how she performed on the 2 finals that she took today.
All right.
So you always know how that can be touch and go. And certainly my daughter saying that she is happy with how she did is suggestive that it's probably even better than what she's telling me. Because she's very reluctant to say that. So we're excited for her, and we're happy to move into the weekend with what I am told is a Phineas and Ferb marathon.
All right.
Phineas and Ferb was a show that my girls loved when they were really little.
Yeah.
And apparently new episodes come out today. I'm told.
I saw a commercial for this.
Yes. So I have been informed that we're watching some Phineas and Ferb. I'm definitely doing that this weekend. I may make a video at some point pretty soon on some news I saw floating around about the Nintendo terms of service and whether or not they can do very bad things to you and whether that's legal or not. A lot of people have asked me about it. So I might do a video on that. But I don't usually make separate content over the weekend. So if I do, that might wait till next week.
Okay. All right. Nice. Fun fact. I was supposed to work on this Phineas and Ferb reboot.
Oh,
yeah. They reached out to me to be a character designer on the show. And then the guy who was the lead recruiter at Disney at the time got shit canned. And then I lost every chance I ever had. Or he got laid off. I don't know what happened. He was a big dude though. And he reached out to me for a show, and I figured out it was Phineas and Ferb, the reboot. And I didn't know how they were going to reboot it. I mean, it could have looked like Masters of the Universe for all I had no idea. I just knew they were bringing it back. So it's interesting because I feel like, I don't know, that must have been at least a year ago. So that would have been enough time for them to get in production. So that's cool. That's really cool. I want to see
House
that.
is very excited.
That's awesome. And I'm glad that worked out with the testing because now you go into the summer on a positive vibe.
Well, she's got more finals, but
all right.
Today, yes. So far, so good.
So far, so Yeah, because you want to be able, a kid like that, you want to be able to roll into summer on the up and up emotionally, right? Rather than worrying about, I could have done better and all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah. So that's good. It was good having you on the show. I'm sorry we didn't do your topic, but we're going to do it. We're going to do probably your topic. I won't spoil it, but we'll do it as a one topic show soon, hopefully.
Yeah. Did we ever even say what it was in the show at all? I don't even know.
I don't think we did.
We might have. I don't know. But yeah, it's good. And we'll have, it took a little bit of preparation. So maybe we'll do it with the same group of people. Just kind of stash your thoughts away until we meet again.
Yeah, that'll be cool.
Yeah, I don't want, Diggins got a hard out today, but I'm trying to be mindful of not making Constellation too long. Yeah, it doesn't have to be Sacred Symbols long. I only have one of those a week in me, personally. Yeah, this weekend, just going to be hanging out, I guess. The pool's open. It's still kind of, the water's still kind of acclimating. I guess I could turn the heater on, but the water's still acclimating. But why? Yeah, why would you bother?
That's why we put this thing in our yard.
Yeah, I have no idea why I paid for this thing to be put. Well, it just turned out that we really didn't need it. It's so fucking hot here. See, it's so different than Long Island. We had an in-ground pool, but it never really got hot.
No.
Even when we put a solar cover on it, it would get like, sometimes it would be nice. It would be cool. It was never like freezing, but but here it is hot. And we don't put anything over the water. So it eventually gets to this really comfortable point where it's just like awesome. But we got to just give it a little bit more time. So yeah, maybe we'll go take the dogs for a walk or something. It's hot out, but and yeah, otherwise just playing games. I got to play Doom: The Dark Ages. Finally got its patch that I think fixes the trophy issue, so I'm ready to get into that probably this weekend. And I've been playing Borderlands 2, and I'm like really deep in it now. I'm deeper than I've ever gotten into it before, actually. So that's been fun. And I think I'm going to kickstart Death Stranding at some point soon too, just to play in the background, leading up to Death Stranding 2, just because I don't really remember it, to be honest. It's as I say on Sacred all the time. I'm like, that was literally hundreds of games ago at this point. Like, I don't even know. True. Like, I don't even, you remember it, you know what it was, you remember, but like, I don't remember the beats. The characters really, you have like these like fever dreams, especially with a Kojima game.
It is a fever dream. The last 3 hours, certainly.
Yeah, it is. And it's a great.
When was that? 2018?
19.
19. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a long enough time ago to forget.
Oh, definitely. I forget games right after I play them often because I feel like I just feel like I'm always consuming media. I don't even know where to put a lot of this shit anymore. It's got to really stick with me to really take something meaningful with me with that game. Otherwise, there are like games where I look at my trophies and I'm like, oh yeah, I like beat that game, and I'm like, what was that even about? I don't know.
There's only so much capacity, right? Like the new things wash the old things out. Right?
I've always been like that.
So much.
Right. It's like why I like rewatching TV shows after 10 years. And it's like, I don't even remember this at all.
I know. That happens to me a lot.
We call that my wife's superpower. She can forget it the next season.
I can relate.
Our 10th rewatch of Downton Abbey is still just so fresh.
Yes, though. Like that, Downton Abbey is an excellent example. It's like, oh, I forgot that happened. It's like, what are you talking about? This is the arc for the next season. It's like, I just didn't remember. It's like, it's great that it's always that NBC ad of it's new to you. So that's good. We get a good value out of our purchases.
Yeah, it keeps the excitement going. I like it. Well, boys and girls, that's another one for the record books. That's our time. And that was fun. We just do a little housekeeping. We'll be out. Patreon.com/LastStandMedia for early ad-free access, as always. And LastStandMedia.store has the merch. For Hoeg, Kyle, and Micah, I'm Dagster Moriarty saying thank you so much out there for joining us. We appreciate you. We love you. We'll see you next week. Weeks go fast. We'll be here again before you know it. Enjoy your weekend. And in the meantime, go listen to your second favorite podcast. Now, get out. Peace.
Constellation is a product of Last Stand Media and Collins Last Stand LLC and is proudly recorded in the USA. The show was conceived by and is directed and hosted by me, Colin Moriarty. My co-host is my brother, Dagan Moriarty. The show is produced by Last Stand's executive producer, Dustin Furman. All Last Stand theme music is by Ramon Narvaez, and all of our graphics and logos are by Dagan Moriarty. As you know, all of Last Stand Media's podcasts, including Constellation, are fan-funded on Patreon at patreon.com/laststandmedia. The following names are at the producer level on Patreon, our highest support tier, and we're infinitely grateful for your thoughtful and kind contributions to our independent endeavor.